Sports update powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 1 minute past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. As Liverpool return home from their win over Inter, who should take the initiative over patching things up? Former Liverpool forward Dean Saunders says Slot should ask Salah for his version of why he's not playing well.
And then I'd say to him, OK, fair enough, but when's the last time you went past the fullback? When's the last time you cut inside and bent one in the top corner? When's the last time you looked like Mo Salah? Because look in the mirror. Don't blame everybody else.
Salah suggested his last game for Liverpool could be this weekend at home to Brighton. It was an important night in Thomas Frank's bid to win over Spurs fans. talkSPORT Scott Minto watched them beat Slavia Prague 3-0.
But I still saw vulnerability there defensively, where a better team or better finishers the Slavia Prague had this evening, and they might have been a lot more under pressure.
A home win over Dortmund and 3 points at Frankfurt would see Spurs get automatic qualification for the Champions League knockouts. Meanwhile, Chelsea have work to do after Maresca's side let a lead slip to lose at Atalanta. Ahead of the third Ashes test on Tuesday, Pat Cummins is fit again and will captain Australia. Meanwhile, Paul Pogba hopes to one day own the world's most expensive camel. He's become a major shareholder of Saudi-based camel racing team Al Haboub. Now at Monaco, Pogba says he's watched his fair share of races on YouTube. On our YouTube channel today, it's the talkSPORT Darts Trophy, and Andy Goldstein is dreaming of glory.
Goldstein has broken the record. He becomes the first man ever to beat Dean Saunders. Never been beaten.
Dean, the storyteller, Saunders opens the defence of his title against Jermaine the Saint Pennant. That's live from 1:30pm.
talkSPORT News.
Paying for asylum hotels has cost $2 billion in the last financial year, and Tory leader Kemi Badenoch does not rule out teaming up with Reform. More from the news team at 1:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This winter, treat yourself to the Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 20,000 tyre mileage.
Be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How did you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we're live on talkSPORT. So a scrappy 1-0 win in Milan after a turbulent period. Was that just what the doctor ordered for Liverpool? Meantime, back-to-back home wins for Spurs. But why can't they fill their stadium on Champions League nights? Also today, have Chelsea been hit with a reality check? Should anything be read into the Daniel Levy accounting review? Are clubs right to enforce media bans, or is it all a bit North Korea? Is the future of Madrid's Xabi Alonso really in jeopardy, and has Infantino broken his own rules? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, we're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Now, for the listeners and for those watching on YouTube, let me just explain. In between breakfast going, in other words, Brazil and the mess that they normally leave, that all being tidied up and us coming in, it's a bit of a race against time. Danny and I come in here with producer Luke. Everything gets sorted. Producer Luke's got wires. He's got this, he's got that. He's plugging in leads. We're all sorted. And then Simon's area, because Simon hasn't joined us until we virtually go on air, your area is all laid out for you. Like it's like your towels put on the lounger at the side of the pool. Everything's sorted for you. We wait for you hand and foot. Maybe as we should do. I don't know.
Has he not earned that respect, Jim?
Oh, Danny, I like that. A bit like Salah. Has he earned that respect?
Yeah, if I was going to have a towel boy, I'd like to think I could do better than Luke.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. But would you not agree that you are waited upon hand and foot?
Oh yeah, that's what I am.
Your place is ready for you, and Danny and I have to get it all sorted for you. Danny Murphy, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, good morning.
I didn't realise, actually, I was at the cottage Sunday. I was doing a corporate.
Oh, were
gig.
you there?
Yeah, someone told me after, and I was like, oh my God, you must have been so close to me.
I didn't know you were there. I know Clinton Morrison was there.
The little boy went, yeah.
Yeah, I know Clinton Morrison was there, and I avoided him like the plague. But if you'd have been there, I'd have looking at.
No, I took my son and his friend. They had a great day. Got looked after. Yeah, I did a.
Oh, it's a lovely club, isn't it? Very
was
personable.
you in the new stand?
I was with one of the players' family.
Oh, okay. So no, then you were over by the cottage, but the new stand and the corporate stuff.
Oh, it's magnificent.
I know it's expensive.
I was behind the goal where Palace scored first. Eddie Nketiah scored the first goal.
Oh, you're in the main. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You were behind the goal.
Behind the goal.
Well, the boxes on the side.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So you were both at the same game and you didn't know.
No. It was a good day, though. It was a good day.
You could have walked hand in hand through that little park at the end, round to the station. What is it? Parsons Green, or I can't remember. Yeah. So it's a great stadium, great club.
Good game, actually.
Completely. Danny, I don't know where to start. A mixed night in Europe. Liverpool and Spurs claim wins, but Chelsea defeat in Italy. We'll get to all that. But as far as Liverpool are concerned, after what has been a turbulent period, was that just what the doctor ordered? Even though it was scrappy, a 1-0 win.
Well, I don't think it was scrappy. I thought it was composed and controlled, and actually the best Liverpool performance since probably Arsenal. They didn't look in that much trouble in the game. I mean, you've watched Liverpool recently and how all over the place they've been in terms of conceding chances and how poor the performance has been. I thought it was as controlled as I'd seen them. Yes, they weren't great in terms of making chances, but they weren't in trouble. And I think Slot deserves credit for the formation and the system. That diamond in midfield, played 4 central midfielders, didn't play any wingers, condensed the middle of the pitch. And when you play that system, it gives you, when you've got 4 central midfielders on the pitch, you're going to have good possession. Yes, they weren't particularly penetrative. I thought the 2 front boys were poor. Isak probably the poorest of the 2, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But overall, what a great win. They haven't lost there, have they, for 3 years, I think.
But you're right, though. We saw evidence, did we, of Slot changing. Time to be hard to be beaten, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's not go out there and get beaten.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even the fullbacks stayed at home most of the night, Gomez and Robertson. It was a really disciplined performance, and everyone contributed. I thought Curtis Jones was terrific. Just to any sort of win. I mean, okay, it wasn't a pen. I get that. The refereeing in Europe is bizarre in many respects, but it was kind of calmer for the one they should have had in the first half.
I may as well jump in this while you mentioned it. Another disappointing night for Isak. Are we now past the point of affording him he had no pre-season as an excuse?
Yeah, he's been fit long enough.
What's going on?
He just looks weak. He doesn't look, he's not full of confidence, that's for sure. He's never been somebody who relies on his strength. He's a technical player. But he doesn't look as quick and as sharp as he did at his best. So maybe he's suffering more than most. Normally, most players, after half a dozen games back, you start to see the improvement. He looks well off it.
Oh, Simon, many will say this is football karma.
Yeah, he's come into an environment which isn't operating at its best, is it? So he's suffering within the confines of it. But if you're a £125 million footballer that's made as much noise as he made and orchestrated the outcome that he orchestrated, there's not going to be a lot of goodwill besides the Liverpool fans towards him. So he's got to find a way. We constantly build excuses for footballers about what they do have to endure or don't have to endure. In this instance, he's under a lot of pressure. People will be judging it more harshly because of the condemnation of his actions. But there's no doubt he's a top footballer. But he's come into an environment where Liverpool are not anywhere near. They've got problems all over the field. They've got challenges all over the place. So it's not surprising that he isn't operating at the level that one would have thought. Will he? Oh, I think cream always floats to the surface. Yeah. He will be a top player. It's just a case of everyone will be scrutinising every move.
You have to play through it sometimes.
Yeah, well, he's got to, hasn't he? He's got no choice.
And the problem he's got with that new system, if he sticks with it, which I think he should, because it makes them really better defensively and gives them better control in games with the 4 central midfielders, you don't get as much width and crosses, and he thrives on crosses.
And you've got the measurement against the other kid that's scoring goals. We scored 2 goals on the weekend.
So, Danny, I know you've spoken about it. The Salah situation, It still rumbles on. What side of the debate do you stand on regarding his motivations? To get Slot sacked or to orchestrate an exit from the club?
The latter, probably. It doesn't make sense to get if it's to try and get Slot out. I mean, what does he think? A new manager coming in would think, oh, that's great that I can work with you, because any new manager coming in has to play him or he's going to kick up a stink. I don't think he's covered himself in glory in that respect. So no, I think it's an exit strategy and just throwing his toys out the pram. Self-indulgent, it's his ego's been dented.
Can I mention this? You and I spoke just sitting outside in the main office there just before we came on here. Am I right? When you were at Fulham, you were an ever-present, and then Mark. Sorry, Danny, but I've got
it's
to.
Not quite the same, but
yeah. No. Well, it is. There are similarities to this because we're trying to understand the mindset of the player who's involved. And Slot comes up to you. Martin Yall comes up to you and says, "You're not playing. Yeah. You're not starting."
Yeah.
And you're like, "I do beg your pardon."
Yeah, kind of.
Now, what was your mindset? What was your reaction?
Well, I was the same as Salah in that I thought I was more special than I am. I thought I was the main man and I was the captain, and I thought, like, how dare you? I'm more important than you. So I was fuming, and we had a ding-dong, but I had to take it on the chin, and I wanted to go public and just slag him off and tell everyone what I thought of him, but I didn't because...
What stopped you?
Maturity, I think.
Sensible agent.
Yeah, bit of that. I just didn't want to be the one to cause chaos, and thankfully they lost 3-0 anyway, so... But he tried to bring me on. Well, he did bring me on 10 minutes to go and we were 3-0 down, which was ridiculous. But anyway.
But did you think ahead? Did you think ahead? I wonder what would this look like if I do this?
Yeah, I did.
Right. Whereas Salah hasn't.
I remember Stevie getting dropped in the earlier days. He was still a big player at Liverpool. Houllier left him out for 3 or 4 games because he was having a bad time. And it just drove him on. He was fuming. But he just trained harder and played harder and just waited till he got back in and he was the best player on the pitch.
It's moving parts, though, isn't it? There's more moving parts to this scenario than probably were the scenarios with Danny. If Danny was being agitated behind the scenes for potentially a lucrative move to an environment that was going to double his salary and wanted him to perhaps be prepared to make a stand to get himself out of the door, he might have taken a different view. Now, he's got a sensible agent that wasn't all about necessarily profiting out of an outcome, and would have given him probably at the same time whoever he spoke to at the time when he was ranting and raving or raging internally about his mechanisms that were being deployed to unjustly unseat him from his position. Whereas I think there's a lot more moving parts with Salah.
Well, even when I was at Charlton and Tottenham came in for me and I wanted to get out, I still didn't go to the press and try and manipulate a move. I spoke to the club as honestly as I could and let my feelings known. And that was the way I thought. I think it's always the best way to do it, unless you're left with nowhere else to go, which is very rare. Look, Salah's made it all about him. It's as simple as that.
Can you understand that? Is there any part of you that understands why Salah has done what Salah has done?
No.
Jamie Carragher, who you know inside out, called him a disgrace. Would you go that far?
Yeah. I think it's self-indulgent. I think I don't
think he's a disgrace. I think his behaviour in this instance is disgraceful.
It's his behaviour.
You've got to separate the behaviour from the man.
Yeah. I mean, his behaviour is... Do you know what it is?
Or Jimmy went for the man as well. Called him a failure at Chelsea.
But with respect, that was what Jamie was teed up to do.
The man's done what he's done. So surely...
Jim, do you know what'll happen?
It's a disgrace.
When you look back, when he's a bit older and he understands life more and he lives back in the real world, he'll look at it and he'll think... He'll feel bad that he did it. He'll look at himself and be disappointed. But when you're a footballer, you live in this bubble. I've talked about it before. You think you're special. You think you're above normal behaviour. This is a football club that's got worldwide support and it's great history. It will always override any player. And his petulance and silly comments about not having to earn his place and all that will not sit easy.
Won't age well for him. I thought it was interesting what Virgil van Dijk said. Because if you listen to Virgil van Dijk's interview after the game, he said that, I am responsible. We are, as a team, responsible for a lot of Mo's success. So he said it in the context of, I've been here a long time, I know him very well. Yeah. But he dropped in that I'm, in part, responsible for a lot of Mo's
We're going to get into more about
being responsible.
We'll get into more about Salah, the other side of this break. But Danny, very briefly, have Liverpool started their engines last night? Are they onto something now?
Not necessarily. I think after the Madrid game we thought that, so let's wait and see.
Yeah.
I think they've fallen on a system that suits them at the moment, though.
Yeah.
I think
well, regards making the next move, who takes up the mantle there, Slot or Salah? We'll talk about that next. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live in talkSPORT. Courtesy of Selco, where the trade goes.
And welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How do you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Wednesday, December the 10th. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We are live on talkSPORT. Should anything be read into a Spurs accounting review into Daniel Levy's tenure? Bloomberg report that the Lewis family is conducting an accounting review into former chairman Levy's tenure. We'll get Simon's taking that later on. I'll put some more meat in the bones to that. In the meantime, we are sticking with the Mo Salah situation because this isn't going away. It won't. go away. Liverpool coming back to this country after winning in Milan last night by a single goal to nil. But what next for Mo Salah? Now, of course, the Champions League occasion last night and the great and the good at the game, it gave us all more of an indication as to where this might go, because there was a whole bunch of opinion on what Salah has done and what might happen next. So, making the next move, who is the emphasis on more, Slot or Salah? There was an interesting back and forth on Amazon Prime post-match between the great Clarence Seedorf and Arne Slot over what happens next with Salah.
You say everyone makes mistakes in life, so the first thing should be, does the player think he's made a mistake as well?
But how are you going to know that if you don't talk with him? So you're going to talk with him to understand that?
I haven't said that I'm not going to talk to him. I just said that the focus should be
I know.
And then the next question is, should the initiative come from me or from him? Now, that's another question to answer. But as I said, the focus for tonight should be about, for example, Virgil, because the fans are singing for him. But not only Virgil, I think Ibu Konate, he's had maybe a few difficult moments recently, but he played an outstanding game today as well against two very good strikers.
So we can understand it. Liverpool had just won in the San Siro, and he wanted to make it about the players who played for Liverpool last night. We get that. But in the Salah situation, Danny and Simon alongside me, should the initiative come regards the next move from Slot or Salah?
I don't think it really matters. You know, the manager can offer him a sit down, no problem with that, and then the player could go to him. The bigger question is, what's Salah's stance going to be? I would imagine the agent and the sporting director will have spoken already. If they do sit down again, there's only one scenario that Slot can have that allows him back in, which is an apology, and a public one where he says sorry. But why? He's not going to do that, is he? Because he knows what he was saying. It wasn't off the cuff. It was planned.
No, he meant what he said,
and it was planned.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to get an apology, which means he's done. You can't bring him back in the fold. He's done, you know. And from a business point of view, while he's still got value, and the Saudis might pay something for him, it's time to move on. It's sad because he should get a proper send off, but football doesn't always end with romantic fairy tale endings. He's made his bed. He's got a lie on it. I mean, Alisson was good, what he said, I think, last night. He spoke really well in his conference. I agree with him. He knows what he was doing. He has to take the consequence.
Am I going to maintain in this? I'm not going to get involved in all the sentimentality and the nostalgia of it. He's done his bit. He said his piece. And this is not really reconcilable, because unless he's going to turn around and explain to me that everything he said was a pack of lies, and he's going to explain that to the media, which he's not going to do, because he said what he said and he meant what he said for whatever reason, however flawed we might think it is. And I don't think Mo Salah actually meant some of the interpretations that we took from it. He leaves it open to interpretation. I don't think he meant that he never has to play another good game again because he will be picked every single week. I don't think he really meant that. It suits us for us to say it because he left it hanging in the ether, and that's his own fault for that interpretation. But I'm sitting there going, right, how do I get 75 million quid out of this?
I mean, if he's trying to orchestrate his own exit, Danny, why did he sign a new long-term deal recently?
Well, because he signed it probably with good intent, not thinking this situation was ever going to happen. You know, he's player of the year last year. He's won the title. He scored a bag full of goals, probably played the season of his life, and never thought for 1 second that Liverpool were going to struggle and he was going to be on the bench.
But also, a whole raft of things have changed. And I really don't want to be mean-spirited, but we can't attribute... I don't believe that it's right to attribute this to the passing of Diego Jota. That in some respect, exonerates Mo Salah from his own behaviour. But we've got other people coming in the building that are now the so-called future of Liverpool, that are big-name players, that are, to some extent, eclipsing Mo Salah. So the whole landscape has changed for Mo Salah. Something has also gone on in my mind. I don't think it's just 3 games. I think there's clearly something else that's happened between him and someone else, whether it's Slot, that started this deterioration. Because a week ago, Slot was in the press praising and waxing lyrical about how professional and what a consummate professional Mo Salah has been in his response. And that may well just be a stock answer because he felt that he needed to bat the media away. But I'm willing to wager you something else has transpired that's created the opportunity.
No, I don't think
you don't think so? You just think it's the 3 games?
I just think it's ego. I just think he can't believe he's been left out 3 games. He took the first one on the chin and thought, I'll take it. I'll take 1 game. I'll be back next one.
But if that's the case, Danny, his reaction to that was so extreme at the weekend.
Yeah. But I think...
So extreme.
I think it's a classic case, and I've seen it before, of a big player just thinking, I'm not having it. So I'm going to say my piece.
I'm undroppable.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop the bomb, and then we'll see what happens. And if it means me going, then I'll go.
Guys, as we head to 10:30, a lot of Liverpool fans getting in touch. I'm going to jump in and take a quick call. Stephen, good morning. What do you want to say?
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon. Good morning,
morning.
Danny. Yeah, I was determined not to come on today because I can't find my glasses. I tried to make a few notes, so bear with me. But what I will say is that I couldn't believe Seedorf and Sturridge, how they were pushing Arne Slot last night to basically, in my opinion, to say, come on, let him be a way back from Mo Salah. Yeah. I don't know whether Mo's been in touch with them and said, look, I'm panicking here. My own personal opinion is I watched this chief conference when the bombshell was dropped, and Mo Salah was calm as a cucumber. That was calculated. He knew exactly what he was doing. Now, for me, I think, my own opinion, Arne Slot has got the power back now. It was a brilliant performance. He got the power back in the new system, and we got a 1-0 win. Now, my own opinion is that something has happened, like Simon says, and he has got a big ego, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've got someone who's got too big an ego, i.e. in your team, in your office, and they come in, you'd dread going into work, and Arne Slot is in charge of our team, who we love. And from what I observed there last night, not being a psycho, I thought, hang on a minute, Mo. So the only way back for me, for Mo Salah, is to come out public and say, I'm so sorry. I disrespected the club, I disrespected the manager, and I disrespected the fans. Otherwise, Mo, there's no way. Personally, I think he's gonna. So,
Stephen, you're saying only an apology will do?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Jim. It's a starting point. I then get on the pitch and start doing your job, what you very well pay for, by the way. Stop sulking. You've seen the kicker on him in all the press conference leading up to that. He's got a face on him like thunder. And it's obvious his body language. He's unhappy. And Arne Slot cannot do his job. No one can do their job properly. You've got someone in the dressing room or in your team, whether you're working in the market or...
Stephen, just before you leave me, just before you leave us, you sound like a really solid, passionate fan, mate.
I am.
Would you buy an apology from Salah?
Buy him one? No. Buy one? Would I? Buy him one. It's up to him. He's got
would you buy it if he did it?
No, he means would you believe it?
Would you believe it? Would you believe it?
I don't know. Listen, I don't know what Arne Slot feels. Me personally, I don't know, Jim. It's a difficult question for me to answer. Only Arne Slot can answer that question because he's got to work with him every day and the players as well. And like Simon Queddy pointed out, Van Dijk was smart to say, we've had the success together. Come on, Mo, who do you think you are? Like Danny said, no one's bigger than the club. Arne Slot, in my opinion, I think Salah's a goner because he's got that power back now. And it is about the power, about control. And he doesn't want anyone coming in and undermine him on a daily basis, whether it's on a training ground or in the dressing room.
Stephen, what a very good call. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's also, Jim, it's not just about power for Slot. It's about what's best for the team and the club. And how do you get results? What's the best formula for results? It's everybody on board. And as soon as one player, if he allows him back in without an apology, for an example,
he's just good at it.
He loses completely.
You know the club; it's your club. Has he played his last game for the club?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, there was a win for Tottenham last night. There was defeat for Chelsea. There was a whole lot going on, not only in Europe but elsewhere. We're going to look at all of that. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live in talkSPORT.
Tonight should be about the players that are here. That from Arne Slot after Liverpool's late Champions League win over Inter at the San Siro.
If you have an away win in this stadium against such a strong team, then it should be about the midfield or about Ibu or about the ones that are here. They deserve all the credits.
Slot will speak to Salah this week ahead of what Salah suggested could be his last game for Liverpool at home to Brighton. Meanwhile, it was an important night in Thomas Frank's bid to win over Spurs fans. talkSPORT's Scott Minto watched them beat Slavia Prague 3-0.
But I still saw vulnerability there defensively, where a better team or better finishers the Slavia Prague had this evening, and they might have been a lot more under pressure.
Tonight, Man City could end Xabi Alonso's reign at Real Madrid with a big win. Newcastle go to Bayer Leverkusen live on talkSPORT, and Arsenal's trip to Bruges is live on talkSPORT 2. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's frustrated as Coventry drop more Championship points. After a draw at 10-man Preston, Coventry's lead is cut to 5 points. Middlesbrough win at Charlton to close the gap. And you can watch talkSPORT's Darts Trophy on our YouTube channel this afternoon. We asked Dean, the storyteller Saunders, who has the chops to nick his title.
But O'Hara has got ability. Obviously, he's got a bad attitude, and he's had that in his football career as well. But he's a talented dart player.
The talkSPORT Darts Trophy is live on Hawksby and Jacobs from 1:30.
Now, the talkSPORT Darts Trophy is back today in partnership with QuickFit. World champion Luke Littler has pulled the names out of the hat, so the draw is confirmed. Dean, the storyteller, Saunders versus Jermaine, the Saint Pennant. Gabby, the Gabfather, Agbonlahor against Andy Gilforce Goldstein. Jamie the Chunk O'Hara takes on Jason One Bull Cundy. Darren the Truth Bent against Natalie the Destroyer Sawyer. Join us for all the action today in H&J from 1, with the final in Drive from 4 o'clock. All thanks to our friends at QuickFit. Now you can tune in, of course, or watch the whole thing live, talkSPORT's YouTube channel, just like you do with this show. You can watch us live on YouTube, Samsung, LG, wherever you want to watch us, even Prime Video, you can get it. The talkSPORT Darts Trophy. You two have avoided that, have you?
Not avoided. I just got some other stuff on today, so I couldn't do it.
Oh, I see. Who'd you tip to win it?
I know Goldstein's been practicing a lot, and he's a decent player now. Benty is desperate to win it.
Is he?
Benty's probably the favourite.
Yeah.
Unless he crumbles again. He crumbled last time, so we'll have to wait.
Are you as interested in this, Simon, as you are in Scotland's adventure at the World Cup next summer?
No, I'm more interested in Scotland's adventure. I'd be more interested in a bout of colonic irrigation than this.
You know what? I was reading about that the other day. It's good for you.
Very good for you. Gets rid of certain stuff.
Before we get into that, let's get into Tottenham, who did well last night. After one home win in 7 league games under Thomas Frank and 3 in the whole of 2025, Spurs have put 2 back-to-back home wins against Brentford and then last night Slavia Prague. It was the second game in a row where Xabi Simons got on the score sheet. And Thomas Frank is saying, yeah, it's gone all right.
I was very happy that we built on the momentum from the Brentford game, both home, but in general, just, in terms of performance, I think there was more offensive, positive notes to take from the game as well. Positive individual performances, but also that the team just gelling a little bit more and more together in a tricky game against an opponent that is not easy to play against. Slavia Prague, big respect for them. the man physical pressure. But we got the job done and got 3 points, so that was good.
So Thomas is happy. Simon, I wonder how far it will go to arresting the boo boys.
Style of play.
That's you, isn't it? You're Simon.
I'm not a boo boy. I was thinking about my answer because I thought you were actually going to add more to the sentence.
I did, to be honest.
I see.
So look, I think Thomas Frank is a good manager.
Yeah,
I think that there's going to be a period of adjustment between the players that he's got and the system that he wants to play. I think it was important. I know he makes the observation that Slavia Prague is a good team, difficult team to play against. No, they're not. They're stinking out the Champions League and everyone's beaten them, so you should beat them. And I think it's important that he got a result against Brentford, because the narrative of if he hadn't got a result against Brentford, then people would have been looking at the fact that his previous team had beat them, and there would be a whole raft of delightful headlines on the back of that. Tottenham are not as bad as people think they are, and when they play well, they're not as good as people make them out to be at times.
No, they had a bad couple of weeks where they put in a couple of really bad performances.
And that's
the
big thing.
It's building blocks, Jim. It's building blocks. Winning against anybody at home is a good thing because it keeps the fans on board. The players are gaining confidence by winning some games and having more of the ball in attacking areas. They look like they're a bit more dynamic and penetrative now. Simons looks like his fitness has got up.
Yeah,
it's a bit sharper and like the player he was before he came. So that's all positive. But there's big tests to come from around the corner.
You know the strange thing? They can't seem to be able to fill their stadium. Supporters voted with their feet again last night. Fewer than 48,000 turned up to see Slavia Prague. And that comes amidst recent complaints from fans that they, Simon, are being priced out. So they're right to do this, I think, because they feel, no, hang on. Even though last night's game was downgraded to a Category C, where tickets would come in between 38 quid and 80, many of them are still saying, no, it's too much. Last month, the Spurs Supporters Trust, over the past couple of seasons, it's undeniable that the atmosphere has declined at the stadium. Too many empty seats, too many fans, particularly young fans, priced out of attending. They're not having it.
Well, the team finished 17th in the league last year, so it's not surprising that there was a poor atmosphere inside the stadium. They don't win games at home.
They won a European trophy.
Not at home, they didn't. So the point is, we're talking about...
You think they'd show up?
But again, first and foremost, I don't know what we're comparing it to in terms of their performance in previous Champions League games. If we take the statistic, there's 60,000 seater stadium that's only got 48,000 in it. I don't know whether in previous Champions League qualifying games against lesser opposition, whether we've seen lesser attendances. So I don't know whether it's a recent phenomenon. Whatever you charge fans for football, they will tell you that they want to pay less. That's the nature of the beast.
They didn't last season because they make the point, the Supporters Trust.
They did.
Europa League nights last season with sensibly priced tickets proved the point.
Yeah.
Fair ticket pricing fills the ground, often with the next generation of Spurs fans. So last season they got it right, this season they're not.
I'm fascinated to see, because I always like these examples from these people that have run big businesses and run football clubs and know how to do it, when they're telling other people how to do it. There's obviously a view that Tottenham will have, and maybe they've got it wrong in this instance, that Champions League pricing is different from Europa League pricing. I imagine Europa League pricing is different from European Conference pricing. So you're not comparing apples with apples, are you, for starts? Because you're playing in the elite competition in European football, so it comes with a premium.
So as an owner, you would think you've got a cheap bringing this up?
No, I don't think you've got a cheap bringing.
No, you've got to run a big business to be able to talk about a matter like this.
I think with authority. I think
with authority.
I think you can have an opinion, you can have some expertise based upon some experiences you may have. But I always find it amusing when people start telling people that really do know how to run things that this is the way to do it. Now, the case in point may well be that in this instance they're right, and it may well be a fair comparison. I don't know, but comparing the Europa League pricing policy to the Champions League policy is probably a flawed position.
But the evidence is there, Simon. They didn't show up last night in Europe.
So I've got friends with Tottenham fans, and they're constantly whinging about the prices being high. I think it is one of the higher stadiums to go to. We know that. The reality is, if they're winning 90% of the games at home, the
people go there.
Stadium will be full.
That's my point.
So it's chicken and egg, really. Which one is it? Are they going to keep losing at home and be able to fill that stadium? Whatever the price
they're going to argue about concession pricing, because it's a tried and trusted position that concession pricing is seen to be something that's valuable to certain people. The concession pricing for older people has been changed because the retirement age has changed. So why would you be given a concession price to somebody that's in full-time work at 60 years of age? That's the argument of football clubs. They also attach lesser value to the value of being spent inside a stadium. Now, you might not like these arguments, but they're commercial reality. And whether we like it or not, football clubs are trying to be run as businesses because they don't have the business premise, because everything goes to the players. 90% of the cost implications of football go to the players. The one exception is this football club, because they've got a very low ratio to turnover. But notwithstanding that, these football clubs aren't making huge amounts of money, and they can say, get your house in order, run it properly. Well, the market doesn't allow people to do that, because the market pricing for players and wages is out of control. And until you're going to control that, and you can't control that, because up pops the unions with their little two-penneth about you can't have squad cap, you can't have this, you can't have the other. So the tragedy is that people get to pay it when they pay the broadcasters 120 quid a month to watch football. They get to pay it when it comes in the stadium. This is the cost of football. Now, the argument is, would they get more if they had lowered their prices? I don't know. If they won more games at home, as Danny says, there probably would be more interest in people coming to the stadium. And of course, a lot of the people that come in the Premier League season have bought season tickets, and the Champions League pricing will be excluded from season tickets.
But you see, I like the wording of the Spurs Trust statement, Simon, because many of the fans want to go, but feel, it's too heavy a price to go. The statement, the Trust say, the Champions League, our flagship nights, has seen thousands of empty seats, in our view, due to unrealistic, unaffordable match pricing. A world-class stadium without a full house is only half a home.
Do you know what?
They're hurt at what's happening.
I get it, but sorry, just one thing. I do think when you look at fixtures, whether you're somebody who's watching the game, they haven't had the big names there. They haven't had Real Madrid there or Barcelona there, have they?
Yeah.
They'd be full then. So it's a little bit of that. The pricing is relevant. I'm not saying it isn't, because I just told you I've got a lot of people whinging about the prices of Tottenham who I know want to go to games. So I agree. But it is also to do with the opposition. Now, it's different at Liverpool and Man U. They're full all the time, because they've got bigger fan base, what people coming in from.
They've got bigger achievements as well.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things. But I do think it would have been cute and a bit more clever of them to think, well, is this an enticing fixture? No.
Yeah.
So let's do something different with the price and get people in.
Spurs will say they have done by reducing it to a Category C game. And what we're saying is that Category C pricing doesn't meet the requirements of the fans.
Yes.
Category B pricing definitely wouldn't, and Category A. So it's not a case of Spurs haven't acknowledged the existence of a lesser game. They have done, but the pricing policy within Category C
maybe
is still
learn
not
from
deemed
it
to be.
so you can fill it
with due
next
respect
time.
to this organisation, which is their job to represent the people that they're supposedly representing, which is the fans. These are the same people that wrote a manifesto of what they thought the club should do in terms of their demands of the ownership. And I remember that. It's this little, Magna Carta of demands upon the football club. It's their job to keep the club honest. And by that, I mean not honest in terms of corruption, keeping them focused on doing what's right for everybody concerned.
In this instance, they're right to voice their concern, are they not?
Well, the only way...
They're surely right to voice their concern.
They are if you're regularly getting...
too expensive.
If you're regularly getting a big Champions League
12,000 people, not for 48. So on the bulk of it, so if you'd have reduced the ticket price down by 50% to get the rest of the people in, then the 48,000 that would have got less a ticket, you'd have got less revenue.
But surely on a big European night like last night, you want to sell out your stadium.
Well, in an ideal world, but Man City often don't. And no one makes a big song and dance about that. It's about winning football matches. And winning football matches...
They call it the empty hat.
Because people like to have a go at Man City because they've got more money than God. That's why they do it, right? Because any way you can dig at people, you dig at them. But it doesn't affect the outcome of the football match to some extent. If Tottenham are winning games, like Man City were winning games, you'd achieve more in the stands. But again, I make the point, unless you can actually empirically prove to me that you'd have sold another 12,000 tickets if you reduced those pricing, then you can't make your argument. What they're doing is saying that we would have filled the stadium. You can have no knowledge of that.
No, but it's logic, isn't it? It's logical to think.
If you have the Tottenham hierarchy, though, Simon, this morning, I'm not bothered about that. We couldn't fill the stadium.
So you'd have discounted the tickets to get the other 12,000 in by discounting the other 48,000.
Then wouldn't it be fair to say it's an ongoing thing where they're analysing all the time and can adjust?
Well, Spurs will obviously think that they are. And they obviously would have thought to themselves that a Category C game should attract an audience. And what they're saying is that Category C pricing is not good enough.
No, but Simon, you're missing the point. It's not just last night. It's all the Champions League games they can't sell out. All of them.
I don't know what the attendances are.
Spurs are in the Champions League because they won the Europa League. It's a great achievement. They haven't sold out one game in the Champions League yet. And again, in this wonderful state-of-the-art stadium.
Well, let's make the argument then. Is it absolutely imperative to have a full stadium, or is it imperative to make the maximum revenue you can from the people that are prepared to go?
Why would it not be imperative to have a full house?
Well, I'll give you an example then. So if you get 60,000 tickets at 20 quid, or would you rather have 48,000 tickets at 50 quid? Which gives you more revenue?
What's the better look? A stadium
depends
that's full.
what I'm making the bleeding look for. I want to win football matches.
Because we constantly go on about the empty hat. Look, empty seats there, empty seats there. City are slotted for it.
But that's up to other people. The argument that I'm advancing is in an ideal world, you price it at a point that can make everybody happy. I can tell you categorically, without any fear or favour of this argument, that whatever pricing policy you put in favour, the fans would have something to say about it.
They've played no one decent at home.
Well, I don't think they've paid anyone a substance.
But regardless of
Villarreal,
that,
Copenhagen.
Their home is the state-of-the-art stadium, 60,000 capacity, and they can't fill it. You're not bothered by that. If you're in the Spurs hierarchy this morning, nah, it's fine. What was it?
He does it, but Jim,
all right.
Simon's point is fair because what he's talking about when he's giving the numbers of more money for less people, the ones who are prepared to pay.
Yeah.
That's football now, isn't it? It's business.
Tragically, that's why concessions are being run out the door, because ultimately it should be reward. If you've been supporting your football club for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, however long you've been supporting it, you should be looking forward to some loyalty repayments if you go to concession levels. But people are looking at it going, right, if I'm a 60-year-old person and I'm still working, the football club are going, the retirement age in this country has changed since concessions were introduced. Why shouldn't we up the concession to 65? And people are going, that's outrageous. But it's the commercial world. Oh, by the way, get me the best football stadium, get me the best players, get rid of this manager, get me the best facilities, but don't ask me to pay for it.
Let's put it out there. Are you a Tottenham fan who stayed away last night? You didn't take your seat in the stadium because that seat was too expensive for you. Simple as. Give us a call. 03717 22 33 44.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. But it is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
Everybody getting in touch with this show. John, good morning. I'm a Swansea fan. Jim, enjoying the show this morning, but the Swans are moving in the right direction. 2 wins, 2 clean sheets. Well done to new manager Vitor Matos. Well done to Swansea. That's a great club, isn't it? Remember the Michael Love says category C, ticket prices between 38 and 80. Still too expensive, or is it? Let's find out. Sam is a big Spurs fan who's first up. Sam, good morning. What do you want to tell us?
Good morning. Big up to you all. I'm a big fan of Simon. Big up yourself, Simon.
Thank you. Very kind.
First of all, I would like to say that Tottenham are not being considerate to the fans, especially when the fixtures came out. They knew who we were going to meet. These opponents are not Barcelona. We are not meeting PSG. To be putting out tickets, I actually wanted to get tickets, and it was seven. Why would I spend £70 to go see Slavia Prague? Why would I spend that much? And the thing is, it's not just the ticket pricing. You know, for you to go to Spurs, and if you live in Manchester, you have to put into account your traveling cost, hotel, food. All of these is just for a game against Slavia Prague. That is unfair, honestly. And it's not just me. I've been a member for 8 years. And I've been supporting this club for 8 years. So I've got a lot of people that we speak amongst ourselves. And we do understand that this is actually not helping the team. Because imagine about millions of us who are thinking of going to support a team, but a ticket is actually putting us off.
70 quid was just too much. And it's an unsexy fixture, you might say, Slavia Prague. He's got a point, I would have thought. Stevie, good morning, Tottenham fan. What do you want to say?
Good morning, guys. How are we?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. You're a Spurs fan from Scotland, are you?
Yeah, Jim, obviously not me, no. I've get a hotel and get a couple of tickets, not me not to see Spurs, but it's really, really hard, Jim. But I agree with what Simon said. If you want the best stadium, the best players, who does fight for it?
Right, so you can see the reality of it. Okay, Stevie, thanks for that. Ben, what's your take on it? Big Spurs fan. Are the tickets too pricey for you?
G'day, guys. No, I don't think they're too pricey. I think the hardest thing is actually trying to get hold of the tickets. I tried to get tickets for me and my son for the last 2.5 weeks, and it's all to do with the Metropolitan Police. You have to be a member for so long before they'll actually let you buy the tickets. So that was my issue.
Right. We
live down in Portsmouth, so tried to get tickets sort of last minute, and then sort of last minute tickets don't just happen. So would have loved to have gone last night. Really gutted to see that there was loads of empty seats as well. But
sure, exactly. That's the sad reality of it.
Can't be right then, can it? If you've got fans wanting to go, willing to pay, but can't get tickets.
Yeah.
Even though they're available.
Something's not right there, Danny. Hayden's an Arsenal fan who wants to talk about the Spurs ticket pricing. Am I right, Hayden?
Yes, that's correct. So if you want to ask Simon, would he rather one of the Saudi sheikhs come across and pay $1.5 million so he can watch the game on his own, or rather 60,000 people in there paying $1 million? You're not going to generate revenue, but surely that's what you pay to have the atmosphere at your home stadium.
That's the point, Simon, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking at the attendances of the last 10 European games that Tottenham have had, and they haven't filled it for a long time. They haven't filled it last season either.
No, Jim did tell you that.
So we're talking about them not filling it full stop, but apparently the ticket pricing last year was acceptable. So if the ticket pricing last year was acceptable...
As an Arsenal fan...
Well, I don't know.
Go on. I don't know what you're piping up for if you're an Arsenal fan. It's impossible to get a ticket. So I think the Tottenham fans should stop whinging and count themselves lucky.
Yeah, but they're saying they've got a similar problem, and what you're saying is you can't get a ticket as Arsenal's full all the time, and it's all going well. The Tottenham fan there saying...
I'd rather Arsenal pre-set prices.
Yeah, well, of course, but I mean, the Tottenham fan was saying he's got a problem getting, because you have to be a member or something. I mean, the reality is every club now has a certain section. We've talked about this before. I mean, Liverpool have got a low amount of season ticket holders, which baffles me.
Yeah.
But that's just because they can make so much money from selling tickets elsewhere. And it's the same at every club because they're obsessed about the finance.
Yeah.
And the balance isn't right. But what can we do? And Simon makes a good point. The reality is it's a contradiction in many ways because the same fans are the ones who want the best players and moan when there's no money spent in the transfer window.
Okay, Peter, finish it for me. Tottenham fan, you happy with the ticket pricing or not happy?
Not really happy. They were charging 80 for last night and 96 for the Dortmund game in January. So
Really?
it's quite a lot of money. I mean, I'm in one of the more expensive seats, but that's still a lot when you had a home game last week as well. So,
What about this argument about not being able to get them, even if you're a fan with the membership scheme thing? Have you heard about this? Is that?
yeah, they've made it slightly more difficult now. You have to be a member, whereas before you could have sort of friends on your ticket exchange that you could send the tickets to.
Ah, okay.
Whereas now you have to spend £55 to get a membership. And obviously that's only a one-off cost, and you do get some vouchers at the Spurs shop. But it's still £55 that you have to spend to become a member.
Yeah. I mean, Peter, does it sadden you that the state-of-the-art stadium on big European night, I mean, it's a Champions League, for God's sake, the stadium's not full.
It should be the 62,000 or 61,000, whatever. But I think, as Simon says, it's the teams you're playing as well now in the Champions League compared to Europa League, Europa Conference. These should be big nights. I mean, I imagine the Dortmund game will be, because it's a sort of win or bust to get in the top 8. But
sure,
at £96, can families actually warrant that? I don't know.
No. Good call. Thank you very much indeed, Peter. Nonetheless, Spurs won it, and that's the important fact, isn't it? They won the match last night by 3-0. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Sports update powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 11:02, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. That was Liverpool's best performance since August, according to talkSPORT's Danny Murphy, who says Slot deserves real credit for the controlled win over Inter.
And that diamond in midfield, played 4 central midfielders, didn't play any wingers. Condensed the middle of the pitch, and when you play that system, it gives you, when you've got 4 central midfielders on the pitch, you're going to have good possession.
And on the Salah conundrum, Danny says unless he apologises, he's done at Liverpool.
But when you're a footballer, you live in this bubble. I've talked about it before. You think you're special. You think you're above normal behaviour.
Slot says he'll speak to Salah this week ahead of what could be his last game for the club. Xavi Simons hopes to build his own legacy in Son's old number 7 shirt at Spurs. Son was there to say goodbye to the fans as Spurs beat Slavia Prague 3-0. Simons scored for a second game running. Tonight, Newcastle go to Bayer Leverkusen live on talkSPORT. Arsenal's trip to Bruges is live over on talkSPORT 2, while Man City could end Xabi Alonso's time at Real Madrid with a big win.
It sounds crazy because he's only 6 months into the job, but they were awful at the weekend, losing at home to Celta Vigo. There's problems in the dressing room. Some of the biggest players at Madrid are not too happy with the type of changes that Alonso has tried to bring into the club.
That's Madrid writer for The Athletic, Dermot Corrigan. And our very own Galactico, Dean Saunders, begins the defence of his talkSPORT darts trophy against Jermaine the Saint pennant shortly. Dino says Darren the Truth Bent looks worried about his rematch with Natalie the Destroyer Sawyer.
Last year's defeat is probably the biggest defeat in the history of darts, because Natalie only come for a Bacardi and Coke.
talkSPORT darts trophy is live on our YouTube channel from 1:30pm.
talkSPORT News.
The government says children's social media ban in the UK would be hard to enforce, and Kemi Badenoch says her agenda is the best option, but doesn't rule out teaming up with Reform UK. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 15% off a set of 4 selected premium tyres. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Brighter than yesterday. Some heavy showers across Scotland, though. Scattered showers elsewhere. Mild and blustery gales in the north.
So, we are... the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double 9! He refuses the handshake.
It's 11 o'clock this Wednesday morning, Wednesday, December the 10th. We're flying through the month, are we not? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live on talkSPORT. We're live on your TV as well. Even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch the show, you can. And we're with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. A lot to get through. Incidentally, I'm hearing meltdown. Thanks to everybody for all the calls and the texts and the messages coming in, because your participation in the show is what we are all about. Are clubs well within their rights to ban journalists and newspapers, or is it all a bit North Korea? We're going to get to that later on this morning. In the meantime, with Simon sitting to my left, nobody better to talk to about this than him, I would imagine. Bloomberg report that the Lewis family is conducting an accounting review into the former Tottenham Hotspur chairman Daniel Levy's tenure. The review by the Lewis Family Trust is said to cover all commercial aspects of the club's operation, including how sponsorship agreements were structured. Now, Daniel, of course, was at the centre of Tottenham's commercial rise over the past 25 years or so, but was removed somewhat abruptly from his position in September. It's reported that Levy turned down numerous investment and takeover offers, which led to a fallout with the ownership group, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, there's no indication of any wrongdoing from Levy, but the review is looking into whether or not player and commercial contracts and payments were fairly valued. Simon, should anything be read into a Spurs accounting review into Daniel's tenure?
My nose tells me not to, because I don't think it's particularly controversial that people review a business that, whilst they've been the majority shareholders in, they haven't actually been close enough to the detail. They've devolved that authority to Daniel. And I don't think it's necessarily just a case of Daniel turning down deals. and turning down acquisitions because he wouldn't have had that gift to do that unilaterally. He still has to have a conversation with his shareholders about what can and can't be done. I think it's about style, about the manner in which Daniel operated. I think there's a feeling that the frugality of Daniel's desire to make things work a certain way, the deals they did with the banks that had covenants that meant they were restricted to the wage-related turnover they could afford as a business against the banking requirements that they had, all made it slightly challenging. Now, if the commercial deals that Daniel's done have all been cash flow heavy in terms of he wanted deals to bring in cash very quickly, and ultimately they were lesser deals if they would have been paid bigger and more on the drip, maybe they're looking at those sort of policies. There's nothing wrong with having a review of what you've done commercially, what the value of the things are that you bought, what are the value of the commercial deals that you've done, why you haven't got a stadium sponsor. All of these things will come into the mix. The new chief executive that was brought in, ironically, by Daniel, because they liked the cut of one another's jib, probably is at the centre of this expedition, because it will make him look good if he can attract more value. I remember the Glazers when they came in and ultimately looked at the collateral of advertising revenue that were being sold. And if you talk to David Gill, he'll tell you that when they lost the Vodafone deal, there was a big panic in amongst their management structure. But the Glazers were sitting there going, it's a commercial opportunity. We can break up our sponsorship deals and do them differently. So they're looking at everything. They'll be looking at the way they capitalise players, the way that they bought players, the value they paid for agents, the commercial deals that they've done, the reason why they don't have a stadium sponsor, a main sponsor for the stadium, a naming right deal. All of these things, the commercial terms they put them on. Could they get more money out of sponsors by getting them to pay over longer periods of time? Could they do longer term deals? All of these things, but none of them will be a massive imposition into what Daniel did and didn't do.
But there was nothing during Daniel's 25 years that prompted activity like this from the owners. It seems to me it shows how distant the Lewis family have been.
Yeah, of course it does. I mean, is anybody going to really seriously argue that a football club that made world record profits under Daniel Levy, up until Brighton made even bigger profits, is a club that hasn't been run particularly well? Most people think it has. The one thing that people make an accusation of is, could it have been run better on the field? And why hasn't it been done so? And the reason being is that Daniel's potential attitude towards the amount of money that the club has available to it and the conditions of that money may well needed change from the majority shareholders, which makes it a bit rich that they're now suddenly deciding to change the direction of travel.
So as far as this accounting review is concerned at Tottenham, nothing to see here?
Well, I certainly hope not, because Daniel's my friend. I would imagine that there's nothing untoward about what he's done. It just might be that there's a better practice to be going forward. People changed, just because they've changed direction. I think that probably the intransigent nature of Daniel's positioning around PSR and things of that nature might have been part of the sentiments as to the reason why they wanted him gone. And I don't think he was gone in a very graceful fashion. But the fact of the matter is Daniel Levy commercially has elevated Tottenham Hotspur, whether the Lewis family choose to acknowledge that now, to a height commercially that they've never been before.
Yeah.
Now they've got to do the same on the field.
On the
Some would
field,
say they should be doing.
You take me nicely to it, Simon. On the field, and I'm talking Chelsea, Danny. They're ahead last night against Atalanta. They lose a game by 2-1. They picked up only their second win against an English opponent in this competition, Atalanta, the eighth time of asking. But Chelsea, more significantly, are now 11th in the Champions League. They've got a couple of games to go at home to Paphos and away to Napoli. But what's going on with this? Is this something of a reality check for Chelsea at the moment? Can they only get up for the big teams?
Well, it looks like that. I think it's more just to do with the inexperience in the squad and the constant changes. It's very hard to keep playing well and winning games when the team changes so much. He's doing that because of the amount of games. He's talked about it, especially in the back line where they're not as strong as they are in forward areas. So the back four changes a lot, changed again last night. And I think some of the fans have got, discontent. Well, is that the word? Yeah, they're discontented with it because or frustrated is a better word with it, because they know that changing the back line is different. It's hard to be defensively robust and stable when you constantly change the back line. So
sure, but it's a bit alarming, Danny, the fall off. I mean, a battling draw to Arsenal, a win over Barcelona. They lose to Leeds 3-1. They drew a blank against Bournemouth and defeated last night.
Well, I've said and been criticised for a little bit for it, but I remain steadfast with it, that when you have a squad full of younger players, you're going to have extreme dips and highs because they've got loads of talented players. And on their day, with their strongest team, they can beat anybody. They've shown that. But when it's tweaked and there's a few of them missing, it's game management. I can't stress how important it is when your senior players guide you through games sometimes. And you learn so much from those players in those moments when you're under the cosh. I'm talking about slowing the game down. I'm talking about sitting in at times. I'm talking about, like being able to know when you got to sit and defend and when you go for it and when you press and when you, all those little things, dark arts, some people call it. It's that comes with wisdom and years of experience, especially away in Europe.
Sure.
Because away in Europe is the hardest place to play. It's where you really learn the most when you're a footballer. I saw them out in Karabakh, I think it was, where they got a 2-2 draw against a team they should beat comfortably.
Yeah.
And it was a bit all over the place, like gung-ho 1 minute, then they're on the back foot, then they're on the front foot, and that's just what you get with a group of young players.
Well, I wonder when the young player excuse will...
Well, he'll obviously be increasingly disappointed because obviously he wants Chelsea to be successful because it would be good for football if they were to win the Premier League. He trotted out last week.
Was your love affair with the Chelsea fans?
Look, I don't think... do we think Chelsea... Maresca was quite pragmatic about the outcome. I think... They're
still in a good position.
They'll still probably qualify one way or t'other for the Champions League next round, which is the most important thing, whether they get through a qualifying game or they get there through automatic places in the top 8, which is what he's talking about, getting 2 wins to see themselves into the automatic spots. It's about games like Leeds, which is where they've got to be able to manage themselves, because more experienced players would have looked at the game, looked at the intensity and the ferocity of what Leeds are likely to deliver in a fixture that has history attached to it, and tried to negate the temperature rise that Leeds would have brought into that game. It was the intensity that Chelsea didn't focus on, the ferocity of the game.
But it's also the great. Yeah, you're right. But after those 2 amazing or good performances against Arsenal and Barcelona,
you still got a match intensity.
It was after the Lord's Mayor's show a little bit, and you walk on the pitch. If you haven't got someone saying those things to you, you kind of go on a pitch thinking, well, we've just...
But also you've got to have the ability, and you can speak this better than I can, to be able to negate ferocity and intensity by slowing it down, taking the steam out of the game. That comes with nous, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's Ryan. Chelsea players maybe still tired from celebrating their massive 1-1 win against Arsenal. Ryan, we haven't heard from you for a long time, my friend.
Well, let's put it in perspective. They had 10 men for a long period, so it would have felt like a win. But I take his point.
Absolutely. Interesting they're going to play Paphos because that means David Luiz will be going back to Stamford Bridge. An interesting homecoming. We are going to head off out of here when we come back after the break because we're off to Madrid. Stay with us. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live in talkSPORT. Selco, where the trade goes.
we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. And it is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
Wednesday morning, big games last night, big games tonight. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. We're live on talkSPORT. One of those big games features Manchester City, who travel to Real Madrid this evening. It's a game you can hear live on talkSPORT. Now, over the weekend, Marca over in Spain reported that just 7 months into his reign, Xabi Alonso fighting to save his job, with relations between him and some of the Madrid players becoming strained. It emerged that the club's president, Florentino Perez, and board members discussed Alonso's position after Sunday's shock defeat by Celta Vigo. And of course, for Alonso, it's about the effort that he's had to make, getting used to his new surroundings. He was there as a player, but now he's there in the hot seat as a manager. And that's a challenge, as he has described pre-match.
Not about changing, it's about adapting, because I knew pretty well the culture of Real Madrid. That's why it's the biggest club in the world, and you need to adapt it, you need to learn from it. And after there is a process. You need to have this interaction with the players, how we want to perform. Some days are good, sometimes are not that good. But from every game we take steps. And now we are in this position right now. We have to face it with good energy, with positivity. That's the only way to turn it back and to have a better feeling.
That was Alonso. The question that I think most people are asking over there is, what if Manchester City beat Real Madrid? Is Alonso gone? Let's head over there now. Former Real Madrid president, Ramon Calderon, I'm delighted to say, is waiting to speak to us. Ramon, good morning. Is the future of Alonso really in jeopardy here?
Good morning. Well, I hope not. It's too early, but we know how difficult it is to be coaching this club where to win is an obligation. That's always a problem for them. I'm sure he knew the pressure that this club has for everyone who is working in it, but just for you to know, as I always say, in the last 41 years, only 2 coaches have been more than 3 consecutive years on that bench, Del Bosque and Ancelotti. So I know it's difficult, but he has to cope with it. There's no other way to be there. But I think it's too early. It's for 4 months only in the job. So I hope the president will be patient with him.
Ramon, how powerful is the Madrid dressing room from a player power perspective?
Well, I suppose the players have all of them want to play in the starting lineup, but that can't be. And the manager, the coach, has to take decisions every match to have the ones who he thinks are the best for the team. The point for Alonso is that in Leverkusen he was the star, and here the stars are some of the players of the team. That's always a problem, but I hope they can get together. They said yesterday they were really all together. They are going to be motivated tonight. I'm sure they will. Some of them have its pride wounded, and it's true that in some matches, for unknown reasons, at least for me, there are a lack of intensity and attitude, which is one of the signs of this club, of this team.
I believe there was a lot of noise, Ramon, after Real Madrid surprisingly lost to Celta Vigo at the weekend. If they lose to City tonight, will it really start to build in terms of pressure on Alonso?
Well, for sure. The pressure it starts from the moment he gets the job. But it's true that losing against Vigo last Sunday was really, really bad result, and the fans were angry, were upset. It's difficult to see Real Madrid losing a game 0-2 at Bernabeu Stadium without, as I said, that lack of attitude is what I felt that many fans realized. For what reasons, I don't know. Maybe they thought it would be an easy match. Vigo is in the middle of the table, and they were perhaps getting cautious for any injury, knowing that Man City was going to come today, maybe.
Ramon, I mean, I've lived in Spain for 25 years, so I'm well versed in the expectations of the Madrid fans that their team wins as a default setting. But when you look at Madrid this season, they've beaten Barcelona in the El Clasico. They're in the automatic qualifying spots in the Champions League, which is almost a rite of passage for Madrid fans. And they're second in the league behind Barca. Why is there suddenly this intemperance building up towards Alonso? Is it because people are thinking that he isn't what he's cracked up to be? Is it a style of football issue? Or is it simply that they're second in the league and not winning every single game?
Well, I think because in the last 5 matches, as you know, we lost 9 points. It's true that after Barcelona's match, fans were very happy, and I think the players too, the coach. But in this team, you need to win every match. That's a problem, to play well and to score goals. It's an obligation. It's not a success, and that's what has built the legend of this club. That the pressure is huge for the coach, and I think when we lose a match, always is a crisis. Everyone must be leaving the club, but I think it's something which is with this club, and I don't see any difference with any other coaches, any other moments when the team has lost 9 points, as in this case, in 5 La Liga matches.
It's interesting, Ramon. Chelsea's win against Barcelona last month made it 10 wins from the past 11 meetings for English teams against Spanish sides in the Champions League this season. So do you worry there's a growing gap between the Premier League and the rest of Europe?
Premier League have always a very, very good. It's been a very good competition. The teams are very well coached, very well prepared, strong. There have been always, in my opinion, very good teams, and the Premier has been one of the best. I don't know if it is the best, if you can call it the best championship in Europe, but it's one of them. And I've seen this year that the English teams are very strong, the Premier teams are very strong, and it's true that if you see the results recently of these teams against the others in Europe, it shows that the Premier is stronger perhaps than ever.
I'll finish with this. I'm keen to get your view on this, Ramon. Javi Tebas at La Liga, of course you know him well. He's been scathing of Premier League dominance, the spend of the league and its loss-making clubs. Do you go with Tebas on this? Does the Premier League here need reining in, if you like? Or is the emphasis on the likes of La Liga to do better commercially?
Well, I think we are doing quite well, but it's true that the Premier has been for years the leader in everything. Commercially, they are getting, I think, 3 times more money than the La Liga, which has been amazing, knowing that they had the same figures when Ronaldo and Messi were playing here. in different teams, and Barcelona and Real Madrid are very, very popular around the world. But it's true the Premier has done things very well for all. When it started, I don't remember how long, but they've done things very well in any sense, in the way they program the matches and the interest of those matches around the world. But it's like that. We have to accept it.
What about tonight? Have you got a good feeling for Real Madrid tonight? What do you think, Ramon? You need to win it. It's a Champions League match. As you know, it's our competition. People are very motivated. The fans are connecting with the fans, with the players from the beginning. It's a great atmosphere. It's like an oven inside there. So, and as I said before, some of the players have their pride wounded in some way because of the critics of the media, just telling them that they are not up to the level people expect from them. And maybe, we don't know, but in this competition, as you know, the system, there is no problem for any of them. They, for sure, both of them will be qualified for the next stage. I prefer the old system, the knockout rounds, but this is not bad. But matches like the one of tonight has no much interest, but of course of the morale, the prestige, the record, and so on. And of course, I hope we can change the path of the team, and we have very good players. It's a problem that we have many absences, as you know, due to the injuries, but still we have the best goalkeeper of the world. I don't know if Mbappe will be finally playing. He's scoring amazingly 25 goals, I think, 21 matches, and surrounded by many, many good players, even though most of them are not usually in the starting lineup. But I'm expecting Real Madrid to win. Ramon, I love when anyone at Real Madrid says the Champions League, well, it's our competition. You really do believe that, don't you? It's yours.
But as you know, we've won more than double.
Oh, I know.
Title than the second one. Milan have 7, we have 15. So that's, and also we helped to create it in the 50s.
Yeah.
We have it's something that we think it belonged to us.
Fantastic. Probably does. Ramon Calderon, thank you so muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Ramon. And Manchester City go in at the Bernabeu tonight against Real Madrid, and you hear it live on talkSPORT 11:30.
Tonight should be about the players that are here. That from Arne Slot after Liverpool's late Champions League win over Inter at the San Siro.
If you have an away win in this stadium against such a strong team, then it should be about the midfield or about Ibu or about the ones that are here. They deserve all the credits.
Slot will speak to Salah this week ahead of what Salah suggested could be his last game for Liverpool at home to Brighton. Meanwhile, it was an important night in Thomas Frank's bid to win over Spurs fans. talkSPORT's Scott Minto watched them beat Slavia Prague 3-0.
But I still saw vulnerability there defensively, where a better team or better finishers the Slavia Prague had this evening, and they might have been a lot more under pressure.
Tonight, Man City could end Xabi Alonso's reign at Real Madrid with a big win. Newcastle go to Bayer Leverkusen live on talkSPORT, and Arsenal's trip to Bruges is live on talkSPORT 2. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's frustrated as Coventry drop more Championship points. After a draw at 10-man Preston, Coventry's lead is cut to 5 points. Middlesbrough win at Charlton to close the gap. And you can watch talkSPORT's Darts Trophy on our YouTube channel this afternoon. We asked Dean, the storyteller Saunders, who has the chops to nick his title.
But O'Hara has got ability. Obviously, he's got a bad attitude, and he's had that in his football career as well. But he's a talented dart player.
The talkSPORT Darts Trophy is live on Hawksbee and Jacobs from 1:30.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And Matt Gibson from BetMGM joins us live to look at events last night, tonight, and what is going on in the world of football elsewhere. Matt, good morning to you. Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs in action last night. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty. Well, I was pretty suspect about Liverpool going to Inter, but they were they managed to get it over the line in the end. Business as usual, I think for Spurs. Although Mickey van der Ven's yellow rules him out against Dortmund, which is a little bit of a blow. I just heard what Danny said about Chelsea and couldn't agree more. Having watched them at Ellen Road, lacking a little bit of leadership, the rotation is hurting them a little bit. And then Liverpool, to Arne Slot's credit, I know we were questioning, or certainly I was questioning, leaving Salah at home. They've ended Inter's 18 games at home. They've not lost in the Champions League. Liverpool managed to get past them. Penalty depends on your allegiances, but it was given, and Liverpool did do the business. Jim, we were talking about it yesterday. If Inter got past Liverpool, the attention would have been on Slot, wouldn't it? But on the coverage, I heard the fans singing Arne's name, so I think they've spoken about whose side they're on in the Salah versus Slot debate, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they have, Matt. On that penalty, Danny, I mean, how did you view it?
Nah, it's not a pen. It's a nothing pull, isn't it? I mean, you shouldn't be pulling shirts, but he went over too easy. It's not a pen, but the other goal was a goal.
Yeah.
The one that got disallowed, that gets given in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Mark Clattenburg went through it on the show, while the game was going on, and explained why it had been given in the Prem. So you get this in European refereeing, but it evened itself up.
It did. So, Matt, let's look at it tonight. Leverkusen, Newcastle, live in talkSPORT. Club Brugge, Arsenal, live in talkSPORT 2. Where's your thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal are the only team left with a 100% record in the Champions League. The 7-20 to win in Bruges, which I know traditionally is a tricky place to go, but Arsenal certainly have enough, in my opinion, to get past them. Newcastle, a little bit of pressure around their away form. They only beat USG, I think, away from home. Let a 1-0 lead slip against Marseille. So I'm sure the Geordies will fancy it. Leverkusen coming off the back of a 2-0 loss to Augsburg in the league. Leverkusen outsiders at 41-20. Newcastle 6-5. Favs to go and do it. And I just heard Ramon Calderon on there, Jim. To win is an obligation, he said, for Real Madrid. Well, they're going to have to defy the odds. Madrid are outsiders in Madrid with us this evening. 15-8 to beat City. City 5-4. The draw at 14-5. I think, listen, as a neutral, that's the one I'll certainly be locked into. And I think it'll be called by which number 9 has the best game. Both of these guys, Mbappe and Haaland, are doing unreal numbers this year. Mbappe 26 goals in 23 games for his club. Haaland 21 goals in 23 games. Gents, if you're having one of these two to win you the game, to win you a Champions League game, incidentally, they are both 13-5 to score tonight. But who are you giving the number 9 shirt to? Because I think these two are just levels above everyone else.
What do you think, Danny? Haaland or Mbappe? Who wins it for his club tonight?
I don't know. I'd fancy City if I was betting, just because they're in a good run of form in terms of scoring goals. And we saw Madrid come to Liverpool and struggle, didn't we? You know, I don't think the Premier League is so strong. If I was choosing either one, I mean, I'd probably go with Haaland. Although, you know, for a reliability, but Mbappe's unbelievable.
I think Manchester City win this tonight. I think they go there and win it.
I think they've got a hell of a chance.
They've got the problems Real Madrid behind the scenes, and I do believe it could be City's night. What about the Championship? What are you taking us there then, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Coventry drew away at Preston last night, which, if you look at the table, you'd file it under not a bad point. But Preston played a lot of time, I think, with a man down. Middlesbrough keep the pressure on with a good win away at Charlton. There's a few interesting ones tonight, lads. Leicester and Ipswich both in action. Leicester go to Bristol City. They've been a bit on and off, but I do think the cream will rise to the top. I think they go to Bristol and win. And Ipswich versus Stoke, super close in the table, but I think since Kieran McKenna's been sort of settled in that job and not rumoured to be going here, there and everywhere, I think Ipswich are coming good as well. And another one, Millwall, gents, absolutely out of the sort of bottom 6-7 last year. They're having a hell of a season. Third in the table, only 5 points behind Borough. They win tonight at Derby. They're only 2 points behind Borough. We could be having Millwall in the Premier League come the end of the season. I do fancy Leicester, Ipswich and Millwall all to win at 13-1.
Now, when you mentioned Millwall and Premier League, Simon shivered.
You can't have that gargoyle of a football club in the Premier League, can you?
Why not? They'd be there. If they got there, they'd be there in merit, wouldn't they?
Oh, dear.
Oi.
Have a domestic dip after that thought.
Oi, that's quite enough. Coventry have slipped up since we spoke to Doug King.
Yeah, but they're not going to keep on winning.
Matt, thanks, incidentally, mate.
I agree with Matt. My eyes have been on all season Ipswich, because I think Kieran McKenna's a top manager. They've kept him, which was a big thing to do.
Yeah.
He had no inclination to leave, and they're coming now. They're coming. So Coventry will be challenged, but notwithstanding it, Frank Lampard and Doug King would have taken this start
would they?
Every day of the week, besides the last 2 games. And Ipswich beating Coventry is a message.
Yeah, well, the lead's gone from 10 points to 5. Remember, you can visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
With Danny sitting here, it springs to mind what happened with Martin Keown the other day. The question arises, are people too easily offended by partisan punditry? Not for the first time this week. Our great friend Martin Keown has had to defend himself from critics who claimed he had a bias towards Arsenal at the weekend, not helped by Martin picking Odegaard as man of the match during the Gunners' defeat to Villa on Saturday. That was a decision that was even questioned by Villa fan Prince William on social media. So, I mean, on Martin and punditry and being partisan or otherwise, I mean, is he?
Whenever I listen to former players closely associated, obviously, with those clubs, maybe Gary Neville, I wrestle with the thought that this sounds really biased. And I don't think you can change that perception. You can't... Look, people are going to say that I've got that Arsenal hat on. People know me, associate me with the successes at Arsenal, not necessarily the Villa fans. Paul Scholes probably wasn't even born when I was playing for Aston Villa, so he doesn't actually know I've got a foot in both camps.
Well, that just says that you're old.
No, that says that, look, I'm trying to be balanced. And in a professional sense, I'm working hard to do that. But look, the end of the game was such a melee. Prince William is getting involved, suggesting that it should have been Buendia. Buendia's not even on the pitch when I actually make the announcement for man of the match. And by the way, at that stage, and statistically, Ødegaard was probably debatable the best player on the pitch.
I mean, I kind of get that, Danny, isn't it? As co-commentator, they say, all right, Martin, in a couple of minutes, we want your man of the match. Buendia hadn't even come onto the pitch at that stage. He makes it, he gives it to Ødegaard. And then what do you know? Buendia comes on, scores a winner. So Martin's going to get flack. But is it hard to remain unbiased? Are you unbiased?
I don't think you can be completely unbiased when you have an affinity and a passion for a club where you spent so many years and you were liked and you had success. It's nearly impossible. But I, like many others, I think I've always tried to be as fair as I can and as objective as I can.
Chelsea fans were questioning that last week.
Because I criticised them, not because I was trying to hide Liverpool's failings.
I think
that's just
felt, even when you talk about Chelsea, you're wearing a Liverpool hat.
No, I don't think I do that. I don't think I do that at all. I've been in it a long time. I always just say what I see. Bit Roy Walker. I think some pundits are more obviously biased. You see that a little bit with, say, Gary Neville and Carra do a Liverpool United game, but that's part of the theatre, I think, for people watching. Some people enjoy that.
Do you think Martin's biased towards Arsenal?
I think he can be at times, yeah. I think he finds it really difficult to be critical of Arsenal or see them in the same way. And I think it comes from a self-protection mode, because what you don't want to do is turn the fan base who like you and idolise you against you. So I think Martin is on occasion, but generally not. I think Martin takes great pride in his work. I've worked with him. I know he studies the game hard. He watches a lot of games. He tries to be fair, but he inevitably falls into the trap. Yeah, I mean, you gave a good example when he did the Tottenham Arsenal 11. When Harry Kane, it's like, come on.
See, I can forgive instantaneous lack of impartiality. It's the considered impartiality where people struggle with. When you're sitting in a studio and when you're commenting on a football match and you're dealing with the here and now, your bias will be towards the football club that you've got an allegiance to. You can't help it. You're a human being.
You can't. No.
So you allow that into the thinking, and people can be intemperate towards it if they want. It's the considered lack of impartiality when you're sitting in a studio and you're refusing to see things as they really are, and you're refusing to see the fault in a particular fault in a particular situation, whether it's Arteta, whether it's a player, and that's the impartiality that I think I take exception to. The lack of impartiality and a game, well, I'm not bothered about it because I accept these guys have got emotional leanings and we know them. We know who they support. We know who they played for. So grow up and expect human beings to be human beings. But when you're sat in a studio and there's no emotion attached to it or no instantaneous response required, that's the impartiality or lack of impartiality that I did a piece and don't forgive.
I did a piece recently on, I think it was both games, but the City one where down the left-hand side, Salah's side, they were just killing Liverpool. And it was so obvious and so blatant. I can't hide behind that and not do it. It's the problem area of the game.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
So you have to just see what it's a game of football. Forget what colour shirts they are. Here's how they've completely dominated Liverpool.
But when you're working on a Liverpool game,
yeah,
can you forget about the colour of the shirts?
For most of it, but as Simon said, there's moments where you'll fall into... So, for example, I'll give you an example. The refereeing decisions last night, I wasn't doing the game, but I would have... So Shearer actually said the same opinions I had, but he's a Newcastle guy, so it's just him seeing it objectively.
Right.
But if I'd have gone down the line he did, it probably would have been interpreted as me having a bias. And maybe there is a bias there, in my opinion. I don't know, but it's a hard one to judge yourself.
No, I get it. Have you got a lack of impartiality when it comes to the PFA, Simon?
No, I've got experiential basis for my distaste.
You're quite biased, though. Whenever the PFA is mentioned, you're against them.
I don't think there's anything you've ever given me that gives me any other reason to not be. Everything that the PFA produces outcomes that don't support the players that they should support. Pipe up when you're defending the indefensible, and to constantly tell people what they won't do. I don't think there's an argument for me to say, well, that's good thinking. You give me a case where I can turn around and say, well done to the PFA. And if I don't say it, then call me biased.
But a lot of it's based on your dealings with the PFA from years ago.
Have we ever presented an argument?
So you don't forget that when you talk about them now.
Because it's exponential.
So you've got an agenda.
No, I haven't got an agenda. I've yet to be confronted with a situation where I've been able to congratulate the PFA and refuse to do it. You've never sat in the studio and said to me, well, actually, this is an initiative by the PFA, and I've gone, well, so what? Because they haven't done anything.
Have you got an agenda against agents?
Yeah, because I think they're an unnecessary evil that serves no greater good.
Yeah, so you've got a bias.
Yeah, well, I've got a distaste. Is it a bias? I've got a preconceived opinion of agents, yeah. I've seen lots of bad ones. I've seen very few good.
Okay. Martin Keown still coming in for it. Poor old Martin. We're live in talkSPORT. Wednesday morning, not much of it left. Courtesy of Selco, where the trade goes.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. It is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
Interesting situation, a side story if you like, to last night's Tottenham versus Slavia Prague match. The Progress Pride flag the symbol of the LGBTQ plus community, which is always on display at the Tottenham Stadium, was relocated for last night's game following a request from Slavia Prague. The flag's situated in the northeast corner of the ground where visiting fans are located, but Prague made the request for its removal to UEFA on the basis of security concerns. Neither Spurs or Slavia have explained what the safety issues of displaying the progress flag would be. So, not unsurprisingly, the LGBTQ plus supporter group at Spurs, the Proud Lily Whites, made a statement to their members, which basically says, you don't get to come to our house and dictate what's acceptable, let alone kick off about a flag that represents our own community. But here we are. We wanted to be sure that you know that this is an opposition team request and no reflection of the club's commitment to the Proud Lily Whites. So, I mean, this can't be right, can it? That another club comes here and says, no, we don't want that there. You got to move that. And they do.
Yeah. I mean, in principle, the argument suggests, I mean, this country that constantly reviles people for waving flags of certain descriptions are now making flags a central conversation part of a football stadium. I don't even know why there needs to be a flag inside a football stadium. Bottom line is that if it means something, if you've got to display this, and I remember going on many occasions going, why is there a necessity in a world that recognises equality, that in a world that is inclusive, why do we need to keep putting flags up? But let's put
what harm does it do?
Well, I don't think
what harm does it do to you? I mean, Slavia Prague. Well, I'm kind of getting it. The Czech Republic doesn't recognise same-sex marriage, etc.
It doesn't do any harm to me, but the agenda of certain parts of that community do cause me concern. They do cause me concern because I've got a young child at school that I don't want to be indoctrinated with certain views at that particular.
But that's another matter. But what's right and what's wrong last night?
You asked me a question, so I'm giving you an answer. Don't cut me off because you don't like the answer. The answer is I don't think there's a flag.
But you are taking it to extremes.
No, I'm not. This is a flag.
Who's right? Who's wrong here? Should the flag have been moved last night?
The first question is, why is the flag there in the first place? The second question is, should it be moved? I don't think it needs to be there in the first place, but in the event that it's
been there for years,
in the event that it's there,
In
the event that it's there, this is not another case of football not having the courage of its own ridiculous convictions. We saw this in the World Cup where all the players suddenly wanted to be able to do what they wanted to do and wear their One Love armbands and do whatever the hell they wanted to do. And when it came down to a yellow card being the consequence, everybody fell away from it. So now you've got a situation where a football club that is in a country that has certain views on whether LGBT rights are as prevalent in our country, and they've made an objection to it, I suspect. And so Tottenham, rather than say, well, I'm sorry, these views are very important to us, and you take it as you take our football stadium as you find it, they didn't. So what does that tell you about the importance of it?
Well, Slavia made their pitch to UEFA on the basis of security concerns. So at the end of the day, Slavia Prague got their way. They don't want the thing right in front of their fans.
I'm assuming that Tottenham are able to make an alternate pitch about the reality of the environment they provide. It's their football stadium. If it's deemed to be important for them to have this messaging inside their football stadium for domestic football and for every other European fixture, why would it be deemed to be inappropriate?
It's just that by and large, you don't like organisations or clubs coming here and saying, this is what we want. Do it this way.
But that's not the argument you're asking me to advance.
Slavia Prague were visiting Tottenham last night.
That's my point.
Why? And they're dictating.
Well, but that's surely up to Tottenham. Because Tottenham could have made representations in the same way that Slavia Prague did. Because Tottenham are the people that are feeling the need to put an LGBTQ plus flag inside their bloody stadium. And they're the ones that are saying it's valuable.
But I'm surprised you're not pushing back on it because you don't like people coming to England, no matter what,
you're not listening.
saying...
You're not listening.
Do this, do that.
But
you don't have that.
But you're not listening to me because that's what I am precisely saying. I'm saying that the value of this, I don't think it should be there in the first place. I think there's a necessity for it. I don't think football stadiums need to be talking about communities or inclusivity as if it wasn't already there in the first place and advertising particular ideologies and particular brands of thinking. So from that point of view, I'm against the situation in the first instance. But in the event that they have made it important, then they should have the courage of their convictions to be able to say to UEFA and to make the representations to UEFA, no, thank you very much. These are guests inside our football stadium. If it's good enough for all the other European counterparts to be able to have to tolerate and to accept, and it's good enough for our domestic fans,
isn't this just...
why should Slavia Prague be able to make a representation that we don't defend?
Isn't it just another example of what problems can happen and arise because you're putting flags up?
Correct.
Of any sort.
Correct.
You know, whether it be Ukrainian, whether it be LGBT.
Where do you stand with the Egyptians and the Iranians then, I presume? Because it was announced before the World Cup draw in Seattle, the game June 26 in Seattle, that game earmarked to be a Pride match coinciding with Seattle's Pride weekend. Ironically, the draw was made and that Pride match is between Egypt and Iran, two countries in which homosexuality is outlawed. The Egyptian FA has written to FIFA outlining their absolute rejection of any activities linked to LGBTQ plus supporting the match.
I think it's fabulous irony.
It's certainly an irony, that is for sure.
I think it's a fabulous irony.
Do you stand with the Egyptians, the Iranians? We're not having it. It's not the way we do things.
I stand with the fact that football is an inclusive sport and that people's sexuality is only their own business, and this constant agenderising of ethnicities and persuasions is not necessary in sport, and we should try to keep it out as much as we possibly can, because otherwise you get these ironic anomalies thrown out now where you've got a situation where you've got two countries that for whatever reason, and every country has its own objectives and outcomes and style of living, and we don't agree with it in the West. We don't agree with the fact that homosexuality should be treated in a certain way. They do in their own countries. We can't dictate what the world does.
But when we went to Qatar, they push back on we won't be lectured about how we should do things morally, culturally in our own country because we are hosting the World Cup. And but
we
then you criticise other organisations.
No, I did. What I actually said was, who are we to lecture other people in their own country about the rate of pace of change? In 1966, when we held the World Cup, homosexuality was outlawed in this country. So countries move at different paces.
But you could run that argument with Egypt and Iran, saying, who are you to go to the US and say, nah, we're not having it. This is no Pride match. This isn't how we do it.
You could.
They're on American soil.
You could run that argument.
The Pride match.
You could run that argument. But the irony of the positioning is if you didn't have a game that was seeded in a particular sexuality that doesn't need to be seeding games in it, but people are doing it for their own agendas, then you wouldn't have this issue.
Why is Seattle's Pride weekend?
But that's
where the game is. That's where Egypt and Iran will be playing.
But they're utilising.
And that was a game that was designated to be.
But there's also
the Pride match.
I mean, I'm firmly against the idea that we have to have a gay Pride month. We live in a society where everybody's equal. People are accepted under the eyes of the law, and I'm getting tired of people banging on about what they think they should and shouldn't have in society, and keep having it forced down our throats. That's why people resist. In this particular situation, I'm concerned that we are constantly having ideologies forced into our world. And if you dare object to something, if you dare object to your child being taught at school that transgender people can teach them certain lessons in life, then all of a sudden you're a bigot.
But again, you're taking it to the extremes. The Slavia Prague people got what they wanted.
But you have to take it to extremes.
I wonder if Egypt and Iran will get a line put through the significance of that Pride weekend game in Seattle.
Unfortunately, in this world, you have to take it to the extremes because we in the media No. In this conversation, you're asking me for my opinion on it, and we in the media have a great desire to amplify every single situation and sensationalise it. So why shouldn't my response be?
Well, what are you doing if you're not taking it to extremes?
But that's my point. You're not listening. So it's entirely appropriate to fight fire with fire. My argument is if you don't deal with it at the highest level in the worst case scenario, then ultimately you're not being able to address the issues that you're concerned about. And that's the space that we're in inside the media, because the media will do it for you. Other aspects of the media will do it for me. They'll turn around and say, oh, it's a slippery slope. It could lead to this. It could lead to that. Well, I'll make it that argument then. I'll make the argument that actually force-feeding people a diet of ideologies is not healthy for people's viewpoint, and questioning them is a reasonable thing to do and doesn't make you a bigot, a racist, or a misogynist.
Who's force-feeding ideologies? Just in the passing. The Progress Pride flag.
Anyone putting flags up?
The Progress Pride flag, which always flies there.
Why do we need it in football?
Ironically, last night in front of the Slavia Prague fans.
Why do we need it in football?
It would have flown there.
Jim,
I mean, being gay is not an ideology.
Well, no, but there's ideologies behind it about the principles of what people are entitled to. Why do we need to have a gay Pride month? We live in a society that's equal.
But why not?
Well, why do we need one?
But why don't you need one?
Because I don't.
Why not have one?
Because no one's asking. If you make people,
it recognises a section of the population.
If they recognise already. What it's trying to do is create different outcomes for people, trying to create different thought processes, trying to suggest that anybody that pushed back against certain parts of it, and I would imagine the gay community are not happy of being categorised as a homogenous group, because they're not, and I would imagine they're deeply concerned with having the TQI attached to themselves.
Well, the Slavia Prague club got their way last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I wonder if Egypt and Iran, when they head to Seattle, will get the same. It's just gone 12 noon.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 6 minutes past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Liverpool haven't played that well since August, according to talkSPORT's Danny Murphy. He's told White and Jordan Slot deserves credit for the control displayed in the win at Inter.
Even the fullbacks stayed at home most of the night, Gomez and Robertson. It was a really disciplined performance and everyone contributed. I thought Curtis Jones was terrific.
Meanwhile, Danny says the only way back for Salah is saying sorry to Slot.
I don't think he's going to get an apology, which means he's done. You can't bring him back in the fold. He's done, and from a business point of view, while he's still got value and the Saudis might pay something for him, it's time to move on.
Salah will be spoken to this week ahead of what could be his last game for the club. Tonight on talkSPORT, Newcastle go to Bayer Leverkusen, while Arsenal's trip to Bruges is live over on talkSPORT 2. Pep Guardiola, meanwhile, could end Xabi Alonso's time at Real Madrid if Man City get a decent win in the Bernabeu tonight. Former Madrid president Ramon Calderon told White and Jordan after defeat to mid-table Celta Vigo, knives are out for Alonso.
I don't see any difference with any other coaches, any other moments when the team has lost 9 points, as in this case, in 5 La Liga matches.
The FA confirm England will face Japan and Uruguay in their final 2 friendlies in March before Thomas Tuchel names his World Cup squad. Paul Pogba hopes to one day own the world's most expensive camel. He's become a major shareholder of Saudi-based camel racing team Al Haboub. Now at Monaco, Pogba says he's watched his fair share of races on YouTube. On our YouTube channel today, the talkSPORT Darts Trophy, Dean Saunders begins the defence of his title against Jermaine Pennant from 1:30pm.
talkSPORT News.
Will the UK copy Australia in banning social media for under-16s? And the Conservative leader has not ruled out teaming up with Reform. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Much brighter, but some heavy showers across Scotland, scattered showers elsewhere, mild and blustery, gales in the north.
Good afternoon, everybody. 8 minutes past 12 noon this Wednesday lunchtime. It is Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. Many messages coming in following our discussion there about Slavia Prague seemingly getting their way last night with the LGBTQ plus flag moved, not flown, moved. From being right bang in front of the Slavia Prague visiting support last night. They didn't want it. They didn't want it there. And in the eyes of many, Tottenham acquiesced as a result of that. And the flag was not flown last night. There is a message there coming in. I'm looking at many messages coming in on this. Good afternoon to you. Having LGBTQ flags at a match is far less harmful than having alcohol, gambling and junk food rammed down our throats at every home game. If Simon thinks there's equality here in the UK, then he is living in a bubble. Spoken like a true privileged, entitled, rich white man.
Who's that from? Mr. Quentin Crisp.
There is maybe coincidentally no name on that message, but it is one of many messages coming in nonetheless.
What's privilege about choices? You choose to be involved in gambling. You choose to have a beer. You choose to have a hot dog. You don't choose to have a flag stuck in your face and then the ideologies behind it confronting you the everyday life.
An official complaint against Gianni Infantino has been filed with FIFA Ethics Committee after Donald Trump was handed that Peace Prize at last week's World Cup draw in Washington, D.C. The campaign group Fair Square has alleged, quotes, repeated breaches of political neutrality by Infantino. Fair Square have previously advocated for the rights of migrant workers, remember, during the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. 4 alleged breaches, not 1, 2, not 3, but 4 alleged breaches relating to Infantino's relationship with Trump are cited by Fair Square as breaching neutrality in Article 15 of FIFA's Code of Ethics. So Fair Square are an organisation who are well and truly going after Infantino and FIFA. Nick McGeehan is chief exec of Fair Square. Nick, good afternoon. What about this then? Has Infantino really broken his own rules?
Good afternoon, Jim. Yes, he has. He's very clearly broken his own rules on 4 separate occasions, as you mentioned in your introduction. There's a very clear rule within FIFA's Code of Ethics that officials are supposed to remain politically neutral in dealings with government institutions. So he broke the rule before he even gave the prize to Trump. He said that we should all support Donald Trump's political agenda. He encouraged and said he should have won the Nobel Prize. So those are 2 very obvious instances where he's done it. There's a couple more. And also the entire, the manner in which the prize was organised, introduced and then awarded, appears also to have been a pretty clear breach of FIFA's rules and really a gross abuse of presidential power.
Nick, I mean, I read the report, or some of the report that you produced when you came in the studio a few months ago, whenever it was, and I'm all for you guys keeping FIFA honest and trying to break down the barriers of the opaqueness of the organisation. But when you talk about the political neutrality of the situation, I don't think they were talking about his policies towards domestic stance or his particular leaning in politics. They were talking about his contribution towards peace in Gaza and the Ukraine rather than his political leaning. So whilst I understand you're trying to make a point, and your real point is to try and keep FIFA honest, I think this is a little bit flaky.
Well, I disagree. First of all, there was a comment made on November the 5th in Miami when he was asked about his relationship with Trump.
Yeah.
And he said he considered him a close personal friend. Said that he was just doing what he was elected to do. And he said, I think we should all get behind him. I think we should all support him. Now, that's nothing to do with his foreign policy. That's to do with his domestic political agenda. He's very clearly...
What's the context? Out of curiosity, what's the context of that? A, he's allowed to have a friend in a president, and he might have a friend in the opposition parties in America because he wasn't particularly asked about that. Are we talking about getting behind his agendas to make the World Cup the best version of itself? What is the context of him speaking in regards to questions that are being asked of him?
Yeah, it's not the part about the friend. He's allowed to say that. Yeah. It's a bit injudicious, I would say, but he's allowed to say that. It's the part where he says, I think he's doing a good job. We should all support him. Now, he's basically expressing very clear support for president. Now, it doesn't matter what you think about Trump, right? Trump is the president of the world, right? Yeah. But the fact is, he's very clearly expressing support for him. On the point about the peace and the foreign policy, I think that's clearly the line that FIFA would say. They would say, "Oh, it's about peace." It's not about peace. It's
but again,
about...
I'd ask you the question: whilst if he's dealing with domestic issues and policy decisions, is he talking about in conjunction with he's doing a good job with promoting the World Cup and maybe arguments about football matches being considered to be played in different environments because Trump's getting involved with moving football matches because of issues? Is he talking about the World Cup and America's involvement of it, or is he talking about Trump's political views on the landscape of America? Because if he's talking about the World Cup, why is he not allowed to say, listen, I'm no Infantino fan, I'm behind you guys keeping him honest? But if he's talking in conjunction with the World Cup, aren't you just really on a bit of a fishing expedition to make some noise?
He's not talking about the World Cup. That's the whole point, Nick, isn't it?
How do you know?
I mean, were you surprised, Nick, that he gave him that FIFA and Infantino moved so quickly to do this with Trump, to give him a peace prize in such a high-profile moment?
Yeah, just to go back to Simon's point, you're absolutely right. He has to forge a political relationship with the US president. Nobody's disputing that. But the comment about political support, it wasn't about the World Cup.
Okay.
It was a general question. So it's a flagrant breach of the rules, I would say.
You accept that, Simon? You accept that it wasn't about the World Cup?
Now that I'm privy to the context of it, if the context is what Nick is advancing, because Nick's not going to advance Infantino's argument, he's going to advance his, isn't he? And your bias towards Trump will lead you to advance any argument against him. The fact is, yours.
Don't be ridiculous.
We listen to it all the time in the studio. You can't bear the man. Bear the man. If
it wasn't so laughable, it wouldn't be such a serious matter, would it, Nick? The bottom line is that if it wasn't so laughable, that Infantino, I mean, when you see the final alleged breach, and this comes from you guys, Nick, refers to a video published on Infantino's Instagram account in January in which he thanked Trump for inviting him to the presidential pre-inauguration rally. I mean, it started then, didn't it? What was he doing there?
Yeah, I mean, this is the question. What is he doing there, and what is the basis of this relationship? And why is he so close to Trump, and vice versa? I mean, I think there is one plausible explanation for it, which is quite disturbing if there's any truth to it. I wonder if Trump knows that the World Cup is a swindle, that it's a scam, because it is a scam, right? FIFA takes all the ticketing money.
Yep.
It takes all the sponsorship money. It takes all the broadcasting money, all of it. And all the cost for preparing it goes to the host government. On top of that, Trump promised them tax exemptions on all the revenue. So at any moment, I think Infantino probably knows that Trump could turn around and say, do you know what, Gianni, you're not getting the tax exemptions. Now, if that is the case, you have a situation where Trump has leverage over the FIFA president, and we know how he exerts leverage. So is it possible that this prize and this medal and all of this stuff is the quid pro quo for allowing FIFA to waltz off with hundreds of millions of dollars that should be, in the US tax exchequer? I think it's highly possible.
Isn't there? Can I just ask a quick one, a bit lighter now? But isn't the Ronaldo situation? Isn't that an obvious?
Yeah. So, there's so many cases, Danny. What you have is an organisation that just applies its rules when it suits them and breaks its rules.
So do we expect to see the members of the IOC in America and hobnobbing with the various officials and politicians when the Olympics is being brought to America? Just out of curiosity, because I bet we do.
Yeah, I do, but it's not. Hobnobbing's okay. Right? Hobnobbing's fine. You can do all the hobnobbing, right? You can have close relationships with them. You can talk about the various issues around hosting, which are complex and needs.
Yeah, I don't think the IOC have got any plans to hand Trump a peace prize.
Well, they haven't got one, that's why.
I mean, the bottom line again, Nick, is that you're calling for the Ethics Committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding the decision to introduce and award a FIFA Peace Prize to Trump. But after that, where does it go? From your point of view, where does it go?
Well, I mean, we're not naive. We don't expect this complaint to be taken seriously. We think it's important that you outline the arguments and you access the mechanisms that are supposed to hold these people accountable.
I think that's right.
If they don't take this seriously, what it highlights is that the FIFA president can essentially break rules whenever he likes, and there'll be no comeback for it. And that's a serious issue. And after that, I think what we need to be talking about in FIFA, and this was what we talked about in the studio last time I was in, is policymakers have to look at this organisation and think, A, it's abusive, it's extractive, it takes hundreds of millions of dollars out of countries, and is it doing a good job? Is it really sustainably governing the game that we all love and want to see improve? I don't think it is, and more attention needs to be paid to it.
Nick, thank you very much indeed. Nick McGeehan, Chief Exec of Fair Square, on, amongst other things, that Peace Prize that Trump so quickly took the medal and put it around his neck.
Fair enough, recently.
We all watched from distance and shook our heads, or some of us did. Maybe you didn't, Simon.
No.
20 past 12.
I haven't got a bias.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
We're back on air, and we didn't even realise it. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. Danny, from your point of view, we're delighted to know, mate, that we're going to return to football talk. Pressing football matters, certainly pressing if you're an Arsenal fan. Arsenal, of course, in action. They travel to the Champions League clash with Club Brugge tonight, but many players have not travelled. And in that category, William Saliba, Gabriel, Mosquera, Trossard, Havertz, all missing at the moment. Are Arsenal unlucky with their injuries? It's a dangerous circle, according to Arteta. This is Mikel pre-match.
No, training no, because we don't have time to train. So training is not there. But obviously the fact that you are missing players, you are loading other players more. That's a consequence to that, and it's a really dangerous circle, that one. And on top of that, we have some injuries that, okay, in terms of what happened in the past, we are not having more injuries. The fact that we had some others that are long-term, that they haven't been with us since the beginning of the season. But as well, it's a test for the team, and so far we have reacted very, very well to that. We have played a lot of games with a lot of players missing, that puts a lot of stress, and then more injuries, because we don't train. I mean, today we've done 20 minutes, so surely it's not because we overtrain the players.
I mean, Danny, Arsenal and injuries in the past, in some quarters, it's been viewed that they've been used as an excuse. If they slip up here, slip up there. Will it be a valid excuse if it falls short again in a bid for silverware?
Well, it depends how long the injuries continue and to what level. I mean, there's an element of luck with injuries. There always has been. Some players are more unlucky than others, just the way they're physiologically built. You're more susceptible to injuries than others. I think in recent seasons, you could argue he was heavily reliant on certain players, constantly playing them over and over again. So Saka being one, but they were victims of their own structure, if you like, in terms of their squad depth and all that. They could have dealt with that differently. But now they've got this wonderful squad. They can't use it as an excuse. I mean, the facts are there. They are getting a lot of injuries defensively, which is strange, really, because centre-half is the one position on the pitch you run the least. It's the least dynamic position to play other than goalkeeper, because I remember looking at all the numbers when I played. The centre-halves were always doing less numbers. So that's a bit strange how they keep getting... That's bad luck.
I mean, they've had to cope. He's had to cope with a lot. I mean, only Leeds have suffered more injuries than Arsenal's 26 this season. Well, 26 of them.
They're a very physical team when they play. Their physical output is huge. Their numbers are high. They're very aggressive, robust teams. So that's part of it, maybe. But I don't think his delivery there was whingy or whiny. I think he was just talking. He's asked a question. He's answering it calmly with a smile on his face.
Yeah, I mean, he's asked there, do you train too much? He's saying, no, because we don't train. I mean, 20 minutes is what we're doing before we play this one.
Exactly. I don't think the training is the problem. I think that they're having some bad luck, but they do play an intense way, Arsenal. They are. I mean, the levels when they're at it, Arsenal physically, they're all over the pitch. I mean, that performance against Munich, the numbers on that must have been through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, he did say something I read as well about players playing 150 odd games in 2 seasons. I mean, you're talking probably, I don't think those numbers are right, but let's say it's 125.
Yeah.
You'd be talking about less than 10 players would be anywhere near that number.
I mean, he did mention, Simon, the
less than
intense
10
schedule
players.
just last week. The intense schedule.
Yeah, I'm with Danny.
And we know where we're going with this. If they were to slip up again, and the inevitable, or if they choke, you choked again, what's it down to this time? Inevitably, it will swing back to at one stage,
but just to say
with so many players out.
If you think of City have won leagues when they've lost Haaland for 3 or 4 months. Do you know what I mean? It's you can look at all different teams when they win stuff and go, well, they had those injuries and those injuries. It's hard to compare and contrast.
I mean, you make the point of Manchester City, and I don't know how substantial that is about Haaland and the replacements they may have had for him. And the difficulty is that it's incredibly disadvantageous for Arsenal to lose 2 central defenders
of that quality.
And the difficulty is you can't legislate for that. But what they've got is enough quality in their dressing room that they don't slip up against lesser opposition. Now, if you've got top quality defenders like the Ben White available to you that can slot into the side and play in a certain way, you've got to have them ready to do so. And you can't lose games against the lesser teams. You might find yourself losing games against the better teams, but that could be priced into the thinking anyway. And at the back end of the season, if you can keep yourself where you are now and tick over and keep winning games and keep taking results where you can, with a weakened team, when the back end of the season comes, the business end, where we accused Arsenal of choking last time, if you've got your best players back, you won't be in a situation where anyone will be accused of choking, because they've got a good enough squad to win this league.
Well, they bought Mosquera and Capier. They've also got Ben White and Timber who can play there. They're covered. They're just not as good.
Well, you saw the difference on Saturday with Villa. You could see it.
But then also, you could look. Arsenal have spent money on Gyökeres. Yeah, he's the missing. They needed a striker.
Supposedly, yeah.
He's had him on the bench for 3 games because Moreno's done so well. So there are a lot.
I don't think they'll slip up tonight. I think Arsenal have got more than enough.
To be honest, if he's got any sense, he'll play a load of the young lads. It doesn't even matter if they win or lose. They're in a great, but they're unbeaten and they've won every game. I think.
Yeah.
So if I was him, I'd be thinking weekend back to winning ways in the Prem. I know they got Wolves, so they expect to win anyway. But don't even worry about it.
Because if he doesn't, Jim, and he plays a full strength side and someone gets an injury, and he's the architect of his own downfall, isn't he?
I don't think Rice is going. He's having a breather. I think there's a couple of others missing as well. So.
Well, Champions League action for Arsenal tonight, and they're up against Club Brugge, but not there. Saliba, Gabriel, Mosquera, Trossard, Havertz. Maybe they're back here listening to it live on talkSPORT 2. It's 12:30.
Tonight should be about the players that are here. That from Arne Slot after Liverpool's late Champions League win over Inter at the San Siro.
If you have an away win in this stadium against such a strong team, then it should be about the midfield or about Ibu or about the ones that are here. They deserve all the credits.
Slot will speak to Salah this week ahead of what Salah suggested could be his last game for Liverpool at home to Brighton. Meanwhile, it was an important night in Thomas Frank's bid to win over Spurs fans. talkSPORT's Scott Minto watched them beat Slavia Prague 3-0.
But I still saw vulnerability there defensively, where a better team or better finishers the Slavia Prague had this evening, and they might have been a lot more under pressure.
Tonight, Man City could end Xabi Alonso's reign at Real Madrid with a big win. Newcastle go to Bayer Leverkusen live on talkSPORT, and Arsenal's trip to Bruges is live on talkSPORT 2. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's frustrated as Coventry drop more Championship points. After a draw at 10-man Preston, Coventry's lead is cut to 5 points. Middlesbrough win at Charlton to close the gap. And you can watch talkSPORT's Darts Trophy on our YouTube channel this afternoon. We asked Dean, the storyteller Saunders, who has the chops to nick his title.
But O'Hara has got ability. Obviously, he's got a bad attitude, and he's had that in his football career as well. But he's a talented dart player.
The talkSPORT Darts Trophy is live on Hawksby and Jacobs from 1:30.
Now, talkSPORT and Pitch Experiences are giving you the chance to experience the event of the year, the PDC World Darts Championship at Ali Pali on the 23rd of December. You and 3 mates could be living at large with platinum seats, fine dining, complimentary bar, exclusive access to the 501 lounge with Russ the Voice Bray, and then it's straight to your prime arena table for the best view in the house. Get ready for an unforgettable Ali Pali Christmas. Here's how you can enter. Now, for your chance to win, text DARTS to 83338. Text costs £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 4217508. Lines close at 4 o'clock on December the 18th, and that's when you'll need to answer your phone should it ring. 18 plus and UK residents only. So for your chance to win, text DARTS to 8333 now, and this is a network promotion. Full terms, conditions at talksport.com. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy live on talkSPORT. Simon, a story surfaced last week that Brighton owner Tony Bloom has been accused of operating a £600 million gambling syndicate to bet on football matches. In court papers, it said that he controls Tony Bloom Betting Syndicate and agreed with an individual named George Cottrell to use his offshore gaming accounts to place bets on sporting fixtures, predominantly football matches. Now, the allegations came via a claim filed at London's High Court by a former employee of Star Lizard, a betting advisory company owned by Bloom, which his syndicate places some of its bets. In the claim, a former employee claims that Bloom and the syndicate used the betting accounts of well-known footballers, sportspersons and businessmen to place bets. Now it's transpired that in 2014, Bloom was given special dispensation by the FA to operate his betting consultancy, Star Lizard, and continue to bet on football through his syndicate. Bloom is not allowed to bet, it should be stressed, on Brighton games and any other Premier League game or matches in knockout competitions involving Premier League teams. as part of the agreement, all of Bloom's bets are audited both by a leading accountancy firm and by the FA every year. But here's the thing. MPs have accused Brighton of, quote, setting a dangerous precedent after Brighton banned Guardian reporters and photographers from home matches following reports on gambling allegations around Tony Bloom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bans in football, banning journalists, banning newspapers. Is a club, you've done it, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Are clubs well within their rights to ban journalists, newspapers, as has happened on this occasion? Is it not all a bit North Korea? You're not getting in for what you've written.
Depends. It depends. Do you think the fourth estate should be able to have an entitled view that it can write what it wants when it wants without any consequences?
There's always got to be consequence, yes.
So if the consequence is that an organisation, and let's have a listen to the arguments being raised by the DCMS and the FSA. Neither one of them, I think, have actually spoken to Brighton about the challenges this might present. I don't think anyone can argue that Tony Bloom has been an absolute force for good for Brighton.
Absolutely.
And has done more for that football club than most owners do for their football clubs, and done more for that community. So to suggest that Tony Bloom has some answers to be made about these circumstances are probably a little bit of a stretch in terms of the DCMS's position and the FSA when they're making their sort of rent-a-quote observations. Now, insofar as the process is concerned, my understanding of this situation is if you want to ban the fourth estate, you have a consequence attached to it. And some of this is the ramifications of it. Do you ban them in perpetuity? Do you consequent the entire publication of its sports writers for the positioning of maybe a business writer? Probably not in the longer term. But do you allow people to write spurious articles that you've looked at and gone, well, actually, your source is apparently an anonymous Twitter account. And ultimately, my process of this court case and the other source that you've got is the court papers being filed in a claim that I'm most likely to strike out probably in January and February, because ultimately it has no merit attached to it. It's just a disgruntled employee on a fishing expedition. When somebody writes articles that have been written about Tony Bloom the way that they have, I'm probably in his camp saying, not happy about that. I would have been probably stronger than Tony. I would have gone after the newspaper and say, you want one single scintilla of this, and I will shove a defamation writ down your throat quicker than a quick thing from Quickland. But that's style. That's whether Tony wants to do that or not is a different matter. That's up to him. But the process of fourth estate entitlement and attitude is a key concern for me, because whilst newspaper and media have the right in a free society to report fairly and balanced, when this matter gets concluded, and I'm willing to wager it getting concluded in the instances, not about whether Tony Bloom, which we've discovered, has special dispensation, as does Matthew Benham, because of their betting businesses prior to their ownership. That is a revelation that's come out. The allegations are that there's some other troubling factors around football and the integrity of the sport, and the way that the article's been written is very judgmental of Tony Bloom. And so with that in mind, it causes me concern on his behalf, whilst I have no vested interest in defending Brighton. I do believe that if people write articles that aren't fair and balanced, a retraction on the back page of a newspaper 6 months later is of no use to man or beast.
No, exactly, because who reads a retraction all these months further down the line? But banning journalists, banning newspapers, it doesn't. I mean, you push back. I think when Saudi and in the person of Turkey Al Sheikh, I think they banned a journalist from attending.
Banning somebody.
Eubank Junior Ben.
That's a good point. Banning somebody for something you don't like, and you object to, and you don't like the criticism. There's something different. Banning somebody because they've written an article which is incredibly damaging, unfair, spurious, weighted in such a way and not steeped in any great deep level of facts, but hiding behind the confidentiality of sources to suggest that this article can be stood up, is not the same as saying to somebody, I'm going to ban you because I don't like what you've said. They're a difference. I don't agree with banning somebody because you don't like you're being criticised. But when someone's writing an article ultimately questioning the integrity of your positioning in a sport and a business, that your integrity is beyond reproach in, and I would suggest that Tony Bloom is in that category, I don't blame him and Brighton for taking this position. Whether they're going to take it in the long term, whether they really want to visit this on the sports writers. They don't want to visit this on the sports writers. They want to visit on the Guardian. And the sanctimonious outlook that the Guardian and the DCMS and the FSA say, oh, look at this. This is a man that's done more for Brighton Football Club than all of you lot put together. So pack it in.
It's a matter for Tony Bloom and his associates to take care of, as opposed to Brighton as a club being involved in. Is it not, though?
But Tony Bloom...
I mean, when you banned journalists, Simon, when you were at Palace, you did it and took legal action as Simon Jordan.
Yeah. But they were.
Did you go to the extra lengths of keeping people out of Selhurst Park?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought if you were going to be destructive, divisive, disingenuous, misrepresentative, and dishonest, you can do it outside my bleeding stadium and not while you're sitting there eating my biscuits and drinking my tea. Thanks very much.
Did it stop the articles?
Well, it stopped them having a first-hand ability to be able to do so. And then I was subsequently told by the editor of the Evening Standard that actually their writing and reporting made my football club. That's how ridiculous and entitled the attitude was. No, what you do is report the events what other people do. You don't make anything. You report contemporaneously or in real time the outcomes of a football match. You don't make my football club successful or on and off the field.
I'm assuming there's no legal ramifications for banning journalists from your stadium.
It's your stadium.
That's what I'm saying.
It's, if it doesn't want to let you on there, and the attitude of entitlement.
So why are MPs getting involved?
Because they're saucy sods. That's why. Because there's an opportunity to get their name in headlines. There's an opportunity. I don't think either of these entities, the DCMS and the FSA, have actually spoken to Brighton to get Brighton's position on it. What they are is renter quotes, attaching themselves to something that gives them some oxygen.
I agree with you, Simon. If that is the case and they haven't made contact with Brighton, that would be wrong. Absolutely. But what they are saying is it's also a concerning trend of football clubs restricting access to journalists because of things that have been written about them.
And that's a fair comment.
And that's a fair comment.
And that's a fair comment if it's true.
Because if you ban someone, you either ban them for life or eventually you relent and come back in.
If someone says to you, I don't like the owner, he's got a big nose, and he bans them from the stadium, then that's ridiculous because you don't like people's opinion on something. If they start writing articles that are not accurate, are damaging to the well-being of the football club, damaging to the well-being of the ownership. Let's be clear. If you damage Tony Bloom's integrity, you damage Brighton Football Club. Because Tony Bloom...
By association.
Well, of course you do.
Sure.
And Tony Bloom's going to protect the reputation of himself, the reputation of Brighton Football Club. And I think whilst he doesn't deserve... If he's done things wrong in the future, he doesn't deserve a pass in perpetuity, because once upon a time he bankrolled Brighton from a scout hut and a paddy field in the back end of nowhere to a wonderful Premier League football club. He doesn't deserve a pass in perpetuity. But be sure you're right. And I'm not sure these articles and this sentiment, the process of the case that's going to be brought against Tony, I think will be struck out. And even if it isn't struck out, I think he'll probably destroy the argument. And the idea that he didn't do it for a defamation claim or preventing the media from printing it, well, that's style. That's Tony's style. I think he's probably a little bit more laissez-faire about it. I wouldn't have allowed this article to be printed.
Okay.
I would have gone hammer and tong for the newspaper.
A much more important matter than that. Later today, live on H&J, you can tune in and hear for yourself who wins the talkSPORT Darts Trophy. Oh, yeah. This is an extremely sought-after piece of silverware. Harry Durham can tell us more. Harry.
Jim, Danny and Sir...
Wouldn't you know it? I mean, you couldn't put money on it, could you?
No.
That's as far as Harry got. The short and the tall of it is the talkSPORT Darts Trophy takes place during Hawksby and Jacobs from 1 o'clock into this afternoon. Harry would have told us that, and he will tell you more when you join him during H&J.
and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
This Saturday, two undefeated super middleweights, Diego Pacheco and Kevin Lily Saggio, clash for the WBC silver and WBO international titles, eyeing a world title shot. You can watch it live this Saturday only on DAZN. That is then, this is now. It's another huge night of Champions League action tonight.
Bounties for Schick, who shoots from the halfway line. Oh my word! What a goal from Patrick Schick!
Bounties kindly for Harvey Barnes, and he's done it again. It's Harvey Barnes for Newcastle United.
If Newcastle can grab a spell of momentum, they can definitely go and win this.
And it's in! Onyedika has given Club Brugge the lead. Martinelli is clear. Can he round it off? He does! Arsenal sitting pretty at the top of the Champions League phase table.
It has become a rivalry that has defined the European stage over the last half a decade.
Inside the penalty area, Guardiola, Haaland! 1-0 Manchester City, flinging it past Edison, Bellingham!
Oh my God!
3-2 Real Madrid.
Bernabeu is not easy, but the draw is the draw, and accept the challenge.
It's a massive night, isn't it? Club Brugge against Arsenal, live in the Champions League, talkSPORT 2, and live on talkSPORT. Leverkusen against Newcastle, also, of course, in the Champions League. Danny alongside Simon. Danny, when you look at it, 12th in the Premier League, 11th in the Champions League. Is there an indifferent feel to Newcastle this season so far? I mean, we're well into December now.
Yeah, it's been a bit inconsistent. I mean, there's been some good highs, great performance against Manchester City, go to Everton and smash them there, played really well in those two games. And they go to Marseille and lose after having the lead. So, yeah, there's inconsistencies there, but I think it's a good squad, and I think it's going to get better. They've had a few problems early in the season with some injuries. They're getting them back now. Wissa's back involved as well, which would be a big plus for them. They don't have to be as heavily reliant on Voltemada. When they're good, they're really good. And there's great potential in the side. The two lads, full-back, the two young English boys, Livramento and Hall, they've only played together, 4 times this season?
I mean, what does better look like, though, Danny? Does better mean that they'll win something?
Well, Champions League qualification, getting through, whether it's playoffs or not, just get through to the knockouts. That's success. That gives them, something to look forward to and gives them momentum and fans excited about what's to come.
Yeah.
Premier League, where the way it's sitting at the moment, you can see it. I mean, anyone who puts a good run of results together gets themselves up in that top 6, top 5 even. It's so tight in Constantino. I mean, Newcastle are capable of going on a good run. So, I think positive. I don't.
Well, you're right about where it might take them, because victory tonight could take them into the automatic qualification spots in Europe. And then, Simon, the first derby of the season was Sunderland.
This is the one
on Sunday. Now, this is the moment, isn't it? I mean, to this point, have they not been overshadowed by the northeast rivals?
Well, yay and nay. I mean, the expectation of Sunderland is being exceeded by their achievements, because people are marvelling at the fact they've come up and just paid no attention to the Premier League and done their job so well. The fact that Newcastle are playing in the Champions League, the fact that Newcastle are expected to punch really hard and people are watching them and scrutinising them, probably doesn't mean that they're being eclipsed by Sunderland. But what it does mean is that there's a massive opportunity for people to be hugely engaged as neutrals and people that are invested in the game, because at no point when this game was put on the roster did anyone expect it to be anything other than a meaningful game, but not for Sunderland to be in this kind of nick, in this kind of condition, which means that Newcastle have got a real game on their hands here, because they'll be battling for the hearts and minds of their own fans at the backdrop against a derby that hasn't been played for, 9 years?
Well, after a European trip as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be a hell of a game. I mean, hell of a game.
It brings back memories of Di Canio running up and down the touchline at St James's Park. I mean,
but that was a decline in Sunderland. This is a Sunderland
they're on the rise. Newcastle's new chief exec, David Hopkinson, he says Newcastle will be regarded as one of the world's top football clubs and in a position to win the Premier League in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years. You know, when the Saudis went in there, Simon, all the talk was, well, they're going to win it.
Of course, because everyone didn't understand the ramifications of what PSR was going to take a bite out of their backsides and not allow them to do it. They all align themselves with this 2030 project. Everything about Saudi, every investment is based upon the 2030 project, which is the development of their country. So all they align their sports interests and all the media activity around the 2030 project. So, of course, this fella is now aligning himself to the fact that Newcastle are going to be a powerful force in world football by 2030.
Yeah.
The challenge for Newcastle is how? How? Are suddenly Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, and all the other iconic legacy clubs in English football just going to fall off a cliff? Are Newcastle going to operate in a vacuum? The problem for Newcastle is how. Unless there's going to be a governance change, who knows, there may well be, unless they're going to allow Newcastle to spend what Man City were able to spend, what Chelsea were able to spend, how are you going to create a club that did what Man City and Chelsea have done, which is dominate English football? You ain't.
That's the point, Danny, isn't it? I mean, Hopkinson is saying our job is to set ourselves up to be perennial contenders. Always contending for it.
Yeah.
How are they going to do it?
Well, they won't be able to, because the only way you compete with Liverpool, City and Arsenal to get the best players is by paying them the same wages, or if not more, to go to Newcastle, and they can't do it.
Interesting language, don't it? Perennial contenders. It's not perennial winners, is it? And the more they stay in the Champions League, the more they stay in the Champions League, the more they build the turnover.
Yeah.
So this process of perennial contenders is based upon being in the Champions League every season, because every time they go in the Champions League, they get 50, 60 million as an opportunity. That gives them a 50, 60 million opportunity in their turnovers. They build more commercial revenue attached to it. They get past the APT of associated party transactions and get more commercial sponsorship, and they build up to 400 million turnover, and then they might have a chance. But where you do that, but that ignores the fact that Arsenal keep going up and away.
Yeah.
So do Liverpool. Yeah. So do the other teams that are already in position with their turnovers.
So is it pie in the sky? Hopkinson thinks Premier League title winners in the next 5 years. Do you think there will be?
I hope they are. I hope they are.
I would love them to be.
So me too.
So would I, because it'd make for
the
more
region,
interesting league,
for the Premier League.
Yeah.
The value of the Premier League we know who wants a 2-horse race. You can have that in La Liga.
Yeah.
That's why you haven't got the broadcast rights. Tabbies can pee and whine about what they haven't got, but they haven't got a league like ours.
Okie dokie. Thank you so much. Danny Murphy, as always.
I enjoyed it.
Did you? Great.
Even from afar at times.
Well, that's fine.
Even with the bias.
Luckily for me, I lock horns with Mr. Jordan tomorrow morning again at 10. It's coming up to 1 o'clock this Wednesday lunchtime.